Good morning, guys. Welcome to the live show. We're going to get into a lot today. I'm going to do a breakdown first thing in the morning. If you're not watching this live, make sure to tune into the last 15 minutes. We're going to be doing a breakdown in the beginning if you want to watch that, and then we're going to do a breakdown at the end, and you can maybe compare the two. That'd be kind of cool. Something very, very big happening for the SPY as of right now, right? We're getting that upward move, okay? So we're getting that upward push, getting a little bit more squeezing. But now we're starting to see these divergences pop up outside of the weekly expected move, and I need to update these daily ranges. I'm going to do that for you right now, actually, before I even talk about stocks. We got to make sure to have those correct weekly ranges in there. I was able to get some sleep yesterday during the day, and I slept a little bit better last night, so we're feeling pretty good today. I think just a couple more days, and we'll be back to sleeping pretty regularly, hopefully. So she's starting to get a little better, and your boy can maybe get some sleep. So let me update these ranges for you, and we can do that in real time. That way you guys can get it on your charts. All right, so to the upside, we have 523.79, okay? 523.79, so a big upward push can be on for today. And then we have 516.55. So you look at that and you say, okay, well, most likely what's going to happen if we do see that squeezing throughout the day, what's going to happen? Well, we could come up and maybe get outside of that monthly. Remember, 68% chance to land back in this by the end of the month. We have a long time to go in the before that end of the month, right? So we could see this continue for quite some time, and then that could drop back down towards the end of May. But right now, what are we paying attention to? This little zone in here, okay? Because right now we are outside of the weekly expected move. This was not overall expected by the options market. So that is something to look into. And then we can pay attention if that starts to fade pretty quickly, or if we start to just drop from here, we'll have to pay attention. 516.55. Looks like the upside daily expected move is more targetable this morning with the pre-market action. So we'll pay attention to that. Now, the reason that I'm just a little bit worried in this area is because now you're starting to see signals like this very close to negative territory, right? We don't pay attention to reversal signals when the divergence is way up here and you don't necessarily have it on the RSI at the same time. So a downward move here really shows a downward move in the MACD here. Your momentum indicator is saying, hey, I have the potential now to reverse that trend. But very hard to fight against that bullish behavior. We'll pay attention to this. And so we'll look at some other things here in a bit, compare it to the SPY. But for now, we're going to give you the cues. We're going to update these ranges. So make sure we are getting them on our charts. And make sure we're giving some likes into the channel as we do trickle in this morning. Welcome, welcome. Make sure to grab your coffee. It's going to be another eventful day. I think that we're going to have a very, very important couple of weeks here. I think that we're going to see possibly some more upside, right? We talked about the upside with that squeezing, but I think this could all be ripped away very, very soon. We're seeing some huge disparities in the market that we're going to talk about after we talk about the cues. So the cues here, what are we paying attention to? Well, this is a steep, steep divergence. You actually kind of confirm that at the end of the day. I wouldn't read into that too much, right? This like trickling over behavior, really want to see that go negative. So at this point, it's creating that divergence because this was actually down a little bit. So now we're going to create that divergence. Do we come up to that weekly expected move? That's really where I'm going to be paying attention to the cues. 30 minutes. These like to roll over the 2 hours, and let's look what that 2 hour looks like. Oh, it's crossed over as of now. Now we could see prolonged buying to get up into this area, compete with the highs, the previous highs up here, and maybe this is ripped away. Now we'll have to pay attention to this and just react. We're not trying to say any of this is going to for sure happen, right? We just want to, if that does happen, we want to react accordingly. Once this, if this does create a 2 hour divergence, and it confirms, you really have no reason to take more upside unless you're seeing that 30-minute start to curl back up. So we'll go over that as it starts to conclude. Now, what's happening with Apple? Well, this was where I said the hourly is probably a little bit more important. It looks like we're going to get that crossing this morning. So that's going to be very interesting to see. But remember, this is a sell-off zone. This is our next sell-off zone. Look at that resistance come in. We weren't able to go test into this zone. So now what are we doing? Well, we're scooping up. What if we do something like this, create that hourly divergence here? And I'm going to look at it on a 30-minute to show you guys how that wonky behavior down here, you could be creating that divergence very early on. So we want to pay attention to this, because you could get a divergence really close to negative territory. That's why I really want us to be cautious. This could be some kind of trap at this point. This is one area, one moment where this could be a trap. Now, if that's not going to be a trap, let's say this just does this, breaks down, it curls right back up. Okay, that can continue. But you would say, as of right now, this is a reversal signal because it is very, very close to that center line if it can confirm. if it can confirm. I'll be paying attention to my weekly expected moves. I wasn't able to make daily expected moves for the individual stocks today. I'm so sorry about that. I really am, but I just didn't have time to do it. So you can use the Robinhood method, right? The Robinhood method that we teach you over on the course. Now, Tesla, this one here has been struggling for quite some time. Something interesting about Tesla creating these 15-minute divergences as of today. If Tesla can start to compete as well and confirm and go into a positive trend, we could just keep squeezing. Okay, you could keep squeezing all the way up to 205. Remember that we've been mentioning 205 a lot. This 2 hour can curl up positive territory. Excuse me. Whew. All right. So if that 2 hour curls up, where would we head to? We would head towards this sell-off zone, and then we can see if we create that structure to head higher. I'm not saying this has to be ripped down. I'm just saying this squeeze is looking a little sus, and so I'm going to be very, very cautious with it. You guys know I even got out of my upside yesterday just because I wasn't fully convinced, and I took a position. I used $1,000 and said, hey, you know, we're hitting weekly moves. I'm seeing some signals here. I can scale into that move, make it a little bigger. It's not that big of a position, right? $1,000 betting that volatility might come back in. Now, this is one thing very, very worrisome because of the daily scale, right? Amazon on the daily scale, if you start to confirm divergences this steep for Amazon, that's very scary. And we're seeing that resistance come in above this high. So we are competing with the high right now, but you have to be worried about some kind of double top on the daily scale. If this rolls over the next couple of weeks, that's not going to be a good sign, guys. That's not going to be a good sign. That could then say, yes, we are going into a negative trend and start to break down. So I want to pay close attention today to my signals. What am I noticing? A 30-minute, right? The 30-minute showing multiple divergences on the MACD, but not necessarily the RSI yet. So maybe we go create that divergence today. Now I want to pay attention to where my weekly expected moves are. Those are going to be very important. The daily expected moves, yeah, that's important. But the weekly is, I would say, more important at this point. So I want to find out where exactly are my weekly expected moves. And I'm going to go pull those up on my left screen so we can see those and find out if Amazon is even close to one. Is Amazon even close to its weekly expected move? Let's go check that out. Amazon's right there. Amazon's right there. It actually almost touched it yesterday, okay? So this thing surged almost up to a price point of 192, right? So this came up all the way to, let's see the high here, 191.68, almost touching that weekly expected move, and then now we can maybe see that drop off. Now, the funny thing about the 2 hour, I'm just going to mention this as well. 30-minute, you have this triple divergence on the MACD, not necessarily on the RSI at the same time. But let's look at the 2 hour and see what's going on here. Well, in the recent price action, Amazon actually does have the divergence up here. Very, very small, very subtle. You can see it on the MACD. You can see the flatness on the RSI and the downward on the MACD at the same time. This could mean, hey, some kind of more dramatic pullback is coming before we want to head higher. That would make sense. If we actually want to head higher here, you don't really want to be overbought at this level. You want to get out of that condition and then turn back up. So this would be our bullish scenario for Amazon, because look at that cup and handle that could form. You break out above the high and we get some kind of surge. So that's really what I would be paying attention to. It looks like Amazon's starting to drop off as of right now. Pay attention. This can roll over a daily. Okay, so let's go look at that daily as well. And that's the one. Hey, look, it's got big divergence. So this is a moment where it says, hey, I could roll over the daily here. I also have a daily divergence. So if this rolls over, that is a major weakness in the momentum for Amazon. I want you to be aware of that. NVIDIA, right? This one not performing the best. Okay, this almost curled down. Like really, it started to curl over a little bit yesterday, but now we're seeing, hey, it hasn't crossed yet. So I got to be a little bit patient with this. I need to pay attention to some signals. 30-minute still hasn't rolled up, but as of this morning, it is going to roll up into positive territory. We have to see if it's going to break through resistance at this point. And where are we going to open up the day? Pretty much right at that resistance of that trend. So we'll see if we're able to break through, able to cross on this MACD and head to higher levels for NVIDIA. But a lot of the AI stuff, not necessarily seeing a ton of strength here. AMD, this one could pop up higher as well. What were we talking about? Well, this beats down to the center line, curls up. If that can go positive, then we actually do have a shot to maybe hit 160.87 by next week. So we'll pay attention to that. But this looks like a very, very important level to pay attention to with the resistance that has come in at this level multiple times. It's pretty much a zone, right? It's probably better to draw this as some kind of zone. I like zones more because for it to hit an exact target or something like that, a little rough, but I can pay attention a little better to a little zone like this. So I might fix that over the weekend. I'll be doing a lot of looking at charts this weekend to make sure what we're seeing is actually happening and we're not seeing anything that is like the dollar going up, which we're going to talk about in a moment. Meta, this thing just screaming higher, 15-minute divergences everywhere, confirming. So this is a little bit worrisome, right? The 15-minute can go into a negative trend. Now, does that mean we have to fully break down? No, it doesn't. We expect resistance to come in at this level as we open up, maybe come down to a 453.08, more dramatic pullback, and then we see that thing start to go back up from there. That's where we would get bullish again, but as of right now, we're kind of worried about this move. Microsoft not seeing that prolonged strength. I did get out of this move. It was not really proving itself to me, in my opinion. So I'm not in this move anymore. I'm not trying to play this at all as we are outside of our weekly expected moves. I can be patient here, and that's already starting to fade as of this morning. Google starting to drop to lower levels. Remember, this is already in negative territory, so we have to pay attention to it. That is a worrisome sign if Google really starts to drop off here. Seeing some buying up early on in the day. Some things I wanted to point out, volatility getting these little pops. Now, this makes more sense, right? Volatility dropping down. Now it makes more sense. Maybe we go down towards 12.12 and we keep squeezing. So every time we roll over on this MACD, that means we're going to keep squeezing, okay? Because we're in a negative trend for the VIX. But yesterday, we were really paying close attention towards the middle to end of the day because we were making new highs in the SPY, but volatility wasn't making the new lows. The bond auction actually right at that moment was when we saw that explosion higher. So let's see how those bonds are performing today. And what are we seeing? Lower high. We're seeing a lower high for TLT while the SPY is making a new high again. It's already beaten this one. Now this is TLT saying I'm coming down a little bit. And let's see how HYG's been acting. Okay, HYG has not even given you a lower high. It's just saying, hey, yeah, there's weakness here. Now it's trying to base out. It's trying to make that move higher. But if this thing curls down and goes negative, that's not a good sign for the market. So let's pay attention to the dollar. And the dollar's still remaining at higher levels while the market goes higher. And that is where we know some people are selling into this move. Insiders are selling into that upward move. And now people were buying into that squeeze. Okay, that makes total sense, but we're still remaining at these higher levels. We're not competing with these lows. So that is something to be worried about. Yeah, this looks a little bit sideways here. So we have to see if there's a breakup or a breakdown, but this craziness can continue. Note that next week is going to be that was a hiccup. Next week's going to be very, very important, okay? Because we do get a ton of data. CPI, I'm pretty sure FOMC minutes and stuff like that is coming up as well. Which, let me pull up that data for us to see what dates we should be paying attention to as of next week. Now we're seeing us scream higher. Where are we screaming higher towards? That monthly expected move. That's what's expected for the entire month, and we're hitting it 10 days. We're about to hit it maybe 10 days into 10 days into the month. So that means we have 20 more days where this thing could just drop because this is all that's expected. So if we get excited today outside of this, this zone right here is going to be a very, very interesting one. But if you remember, a couple days ago, my overall target for this was 520. We're getting above that as of right now. So very good little call there with the 520. Didn't we flip the coin yesterday? I feel like we flipped the coin yesterday. Okay, so today we do have a couple of Fed speakers. We have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment coming out, and then Kashkari is speaking at 9 a.m. And he's been a little bit bearish, I think, from what I've read. And then on Tuesday, PPI, core PPI. And on Tuesday, we actually get Fed Chair Powell's speech. Okay, what is he going to be talking about? We'll have to see where he's talking and things like that. Hopefully it's not a dud. And then the day after, we literally get the core inflation, right? We get CPI. So that's going to be very, very important. Retail sales as well comes out the same day. And then at the end of that day, we have some speakers coming out. We have some speakers and a lot of oil stuff. And the next day, building permit. So we have a ton of rocks in our stream. And then on Sunday, weirdly enough, May 19th, we're going to get a speech there as well from Jerome Powell. And I think this one here, I think May 22nd, FOMC minutes right before NVIDIA earnings, going to be a very, very interesting day, May 22nd. So we have a ton to pay attention to going forward. and that's why we want to be on our toes. All right, let's bring the chat up and say hi to you guys this morning. Hopefully you enjoyed that little bit of a breakdown. I know it wasn't too extensive or anything like that, but we at least gave you a little breakdown there. What's up, Mist? How you guys doing? Kashkari is the most hawkish Fed. There you go. Yeah, I've been reading some headlines with Kashkari, and overall, he's been talking about, hey, yeah, we're probably not going to be cutting those rates at any time. Oh, weird. Very weird. So this is interesting behavior here. There are calls on volatility right now. The premium just increased on my volatility hedge that turned into a short position at these levels. And strange, we are seeing, I'm actually positive on that move after a huge up day. So that is interesting. We are up, well, not huge up day, but we're up 0.37 and volatility actually catching a bid. Very, very interesting. Meta looks like it might be dropping off as well, going slightly negative here. That catch a bid? Not necessarily. All right. Oh, whoops. No. I just got to look at some stuff here. That's very interesting. Alrighty. Interesting. So volatility actually catching a bid. That's very, very interesting today. All right, let's see what you guys think about that. Get out of my channel. Bring up a link just in case. Amazon's starting to falter a little bit. Let's see what you guys are thinking. Kashkari, he talks at, let me just leave data up for you guys because I always exit out of it and then someone asks about data. He talks at 9 a.m. right as Michigan consumer sentiment comes out. So about 25 minutes. But Meta, this one here, not seeing an increase there, but interesting to see volatility. Yeah, slight pop higher, just barely. This looks like it still wants to curl down negative territory. Squeeze continues, right? But as of right now, what are we seeing? Well, I'm seeing the premiums or whatever on the volatility plays are actually going up. So my value of my short or my volatility play here, volatility increasing, is my call on volatility actually did go a lot higher. It went a lot higher. Like it increased by like 50%. So that is very, very interesting today. Then we have Goolsby at 11:45 and Fed Bar at 12:30. Not interesting news necessarily, just the fact that we're at higher levels and volatility is, the volatility call is actually positive right now. How far out is your VIX call? The 24th. I believe by the 24th, we could either see some kind of pullback. So I think over the next couple weeks, we could even see a pullback. And then from here, we could head higher. And then I'm going to pay attention to the end of the month. But I just want to show you guys this. This is not the healthiest of markets at this point. We kind of have a lot of things pointing down, TLT, HYG, while the SPY continues to head higher. So scary. Up 90% on your Microsoft call, selling, not playing today. Hey, I'm glad that you kept it. I was really trying to be very, very diligent, very, very calm trader after, taking a trade when I was really tired. So my baby girl just keeping us awake these days. You can ask Mama. She's tired too. I don't know. You're just saying EMA that, what? Which EMA? EMA. Estimated moving average. I don't know what you're asking, D. This is the monthly, this is the daily, this is the weekly, this is a 5, this is a 20, this is a 50, and these are all SMAs except for, I believe, my 20. I think my 20 is my EMA. So my 20 is my EMA. Yeah, I know, DG. I was just like, it's just if someone comes in, they just spam EMA. It's like, I don't. What are you asking? But the EMA that I do have is the 20. Sorry about that, D. I just wasn't understanding. BK, let's say good morning to people. BK, good morning. D, good morning. Uniworld, DG, good morning. Duck Win, good morning. We can look at Tesla. Born to Win, good morning. I like anime. Thank you for showing up today. Paracosm is back. Too many speakers ahead usually makes the market go red, but it is Friday. I'm 0DT SPY put though. We'll have to see. If this really made an upward move to here, then I'd be more convinced for that kind of play. Jeep, good afternoon. Oh, good afternoon for Jeep. Yeah. DeBoost is in here. Carlos, welcome, guys. Thank you guys for showing up today. Really appreciate it. Glad to see you guys here this morning. Hope you got your coffee ready. Let's go look at Tesla real quick, okay? We're going to go look at Tesla. Oh, an M7. How's that silver price? We're going to look at that right after Tesla. Tesla breaking down again, okay? Tesla breaking down again. So this right here might be where we want to create some kind of divergence. So I want to go into a shorter time frame, a 15-minute. What are we seeing? We're seeing one divergence here. We're seeing a triple on the MACD. But I want you guys to remember something about Tesla and how the market has performed. Remember that Tesla was backing off the entire time that the market was screaming higher. And once the market actually saw weakness, was somewhere in this area, and Tesla dropped down to lower levels, right? So Tesla and Apple kind of called that there was weakness ahead. Sure, they got bad news after bad news, but they were like, hey, yeah, the direction is down. And Apple is something that I really pay attention to. I think it really likes to lead the market. And now what are we seeing? The daily could cross over for Tesla. Maybe we break down to lower levels, right? So if this curls over in negative territories there, I want you to be aware of that. And what's happening with Tesla? Well, Tesla not confirming a new high. Apple technically not confirming a new high just yet. And that is something to pay attention to because these two were really calling a bunch of weakness while the SPY was just trickling higher. And then right around here, right, that's when they started to actually play out for the SPY. If you go look at the SPY, you can see, boom, that's that moment where we actually tore down to lower levels. Now let's take a look over at gold right before we do silver. This thing catching a big bid, right? So getting some strength at the end of the day yesterday. And now we're seeing what? We get back above 217.21. So right now you're saying, oh, gold can scream higher if we get this to cross up into positive territory. We can check on some news or something, see if that's because of geopolitical. Regain lost ground as weak U.S. data raises rate cut hopes. Okay, that's what people are reading into. Let's go look at silver. Remember, silver looks pretty undervalued. This thing broke out yesterday, so that's what we were talking about with gold as well. We were like, silver already made the move. Gold didn't yet, and so gold actually made that move the next day, or is it the next day? Well, now gold's breaking out of this structure the next day. So gold was pretty much right here. Now it's making that move that silver made yesterday. So we're seeing that best up. Getting a green impression on the histogram. There's major strength here, man. There is strength here on the daily scale, rolling up into positive territory. Not something to shy away from. Keep it in mind. IWM going down. Now, this was something we were paying attention to because sometimes these small caps, they do lead the market. And as of right now, what do we see? A major divergence. Look at these divergences. This is why I'm worried at this point. Yes, we could make a handle and head higher. Yes, we could. This could be all a cup and handle to head higher. Okay, I know that. But I have to pay attention to downside because this, if I think there's going to be room to the call side and I take a big play, well, I want to pay attention to how I could get screwed. And this is how I could get screwed. If this IWM just rolls over and I'm to the call side, this is not the area to do it. You want to see that base out and curl back up, right? We want to see that kind of curl down, curl back up, confirm another move higher. At this point, you would say, uh-oh, double top possible with this type of signal. So we're paying attention. Take a look why so many open interest calls on the VIX May 22nd expiration. We'll take a look into it. Neil Kashkari talked a few days ago, and it didn't do anything to the market. The market pushed higher. Yeah, it very well can. I mean, I'm not saying it has to push down or push up, but you should be paying attention to what the Fed speakers are saying, especially if multiple of them are starting to point out, yeah, we can't cut these rates, because then that's going to be shown in the FOMC minutes. That's going to be shown when Jerome Powell talks. He will talk about the overall sentiment of each of those speakers. Kashkari also dropped this beat. Yeah, so it's like, and you could get them back to back to back today. So we want to pay attention to that. 15 minutes, though. I think the data is still more important. Consumer sentiment, we'll pay attention to that. took a call on silver. How's that going for you? I hope it's going well, more Pando. Let's look into silver a little deeper. We kind of just looked at that on the daily scale. Let's see if this is a moment where we should be looking for some kind of pullback. And it kind of is. Now, this is just screaming higher. This is very overbought on my 30-minute. Maybe I need to look at a 2-hour in case that is taking over. 2-hour is overbought as well. So not saying this can't go higher because of that daily crossing up. That can just take over. But at this point, since I'm kind of a trader that likes to move back and forth, I would say this does have a good likelihood to get some kind of pullback. What would I be looking for? 30-minute. I'd really be looking for this to get down towards the center line, maybe even retest 25.20 and then start to head higher. That's what I would say for that. Nvidia screaming higher here. Look at that big, big bar. That's what we were trying to see the other day, right? That's what we were trying to see the other day. What do? Well, we trap the bears, we trap the bulls, we trap the bears at the lows, we trap the bulls for the breakout, and then we break down a little. I would say this wasn't necessarily the best trap because we didn't come below this low. Now we trap the bulls with this slight breakout, then we go trap the bears, and now we're heading up to most likely trap the bulls, right? So if I see any kind of divergence here over the next couple of days, I'm going to be very worried about this. SPY went up and touched that monthly expected move. Look at that. Okay, so we'll see. Well, it didn't touch it exactly. We'll see if that's able to actually get above that today. I think that's more telling. When they get outside of that move, that's when you really have that 68% chance. This is when you really have that 68% chance. But that could go on for a long time, guys. That's a monthly move, monthly expected move. Look at the 5-year. I don't even have yearly on here. Yeah, I don't even have yearly on here. I don't usually pay attention to yearly or anything like that. If anything, I pay attention to a monthly. I do pay attention to a monthly. And this is why I'm really worried about the market, because once this confirms, it might be game over for the stock market. I'm pretty serious about that. Once this actually does confirm, if it does, right? Because the craziness can continue. They can keep printing money. We can keep having inflation. They don't give a shit about you, to be totally honest. They do not care about you at all. If they want to keep the game going, they will. Think about it. 80% of the people who are making the decisions are going to, die in the next 20 years? They don't care. They can keep this party going for another 20 years. So what could happen here? Why I'm paying attention, though, if we do see that weakness come in, well, then where you have a divergence up here, and that is something that can roll you into negative territory. So you really have to pay attention to this, because this could mean, we cross over here, we get some kind of bounce, we go down here, we get some kind of bounce, and that just breaks down. So I would really pay attention to a monthly signal as well if we see weakness over the next few months. Treasuries. So yields themselves, having some, I was watching this a little last night. I couldn't sleep perfectly, so I was watching some stocks last night for fun. And what am I seeing? Well, resistance is coming in at these levels, but what could we consider this? Maybe a double bottom, maybe, but if this just goes positive on this 2-hour, remember I like my 2 hours for the 10-year yield, that would mean weakness for TLT, which means, hey, the market is going to have to catch up to this. The SPY is doing this. TLT is doing this. And if we really want to zoom out, if you really, really want to zoom out, what's the SPY doing compared to TLT right now? Like, really zoom out on it, guys, and think about this. The SPY is, here, we'll really zoom out. The SPY is up like this, while TLT is down here. So that is not something you want to see. Now, something more important might be like looking at HYG, TLT crossing over on the 2-hour, not the best sign. So something to really pay attention to, HYG for that signal. And what are we seeing? Well, over the last bit of time, the SPY is doing this. And what's happening with HYG? HYG is not even competing with the high all the way back in December, guys. So HYG not believing in this move at this point. I mean, the overall move. We can talk about the individual move here. Yeah, it has trickled higher, but it's just not, it's not doing what the SPY is, and that is something to pay attention to. Now, the dollar is starting to roll over as of right now. Remember, that means the craziness can continue. 30-minute rolling over, negative territory. It can continue, but we want to be careful. We're seeing volatility ramp up just a little bit, and we're seeing the SPY get up towards that monthly expected move. I assume we're testing it as of right now. Looks like we are testing that pretty much as of right now. So we'll see what comes from this price action. Look at 20-year silver. Take trade profit and buy precious metals, folks. Very, very true, M7. Not the worst advice right there. Flipped a coin on Roblox and gained 300% profit. Would you recommend to take a call to close the gap? I would say you got very lucky. I would not. More Pando, you're doing a great job following your signals. I know you maybe just like did a YOLO fun play because you've been doing very, very well, and I understand that. But just know you did very, very well from a fun play. Don't think that's going to continue. The next time you could lose all of it, right? So now you want to say, thank you for the luck, God. I appreciate it. Now I will go back to being a good trader, okay? Or at least a diligent one, someone who's really just following the signals and trading like water. But congratulations, Morpando. That's awesome. Apex treasuries, we just went over that a little bit. I noticed one thing. Melody, you said PLTR. Let's go see what PLTR is, because apparently, according to all the YouTubers, this is going to 500 times. So this is going to 5x in the next 6 months, which is, I think, one of the biggest lies I've ever seen, okay? Because what is the direction right now? It's down. What do I have? I have a MACD that's close to the center line, about to curl over into negative territory, right? We have a little bit of room on this RSI. What does that tell me? Oh, we could react down too and actually get a touch of that 2029. Very important level. We didn't fully get there, so maybe we want to test that level before we head higher. Are we going to see a market crash? I'm going to tell you, most likely, yes. Most likely, unless they keep the show going, we're most likely going to see some kind of crash. Now, that can take a lot of time. That can take a lot of time, and that's why we're really doubling down and saying this a lot. Trade like water, because you have to play their game until the game is ripped away. What is it? If you guys watched, oh shoot, what is it? If you guys watch MacGruber, it's when the game changes, but the players are the same. That's what it is, right? Did you like that, Danny? Nothing. Never mind. She can't hear me. Celsius is cooking, but PLTR, I think this is going to curl down negative. I mean, I just like to follow the signals. Now, once that's proving me wrong, okay, then I'll pay attention to upside. But as of right now, most likely, as you're in negative territory, to head lower in this overall move. Remember, the direction was chosen with earnings. Now we're getting close to the center line. Look for the next dip down is what I would say for Palantir. But if that changes, I'll flip. I'll 100% flip. There's nothing wrong with being a flip-flopper as a trader. As a trader, right? There's nothing wrong with being a flip-flopper. Best stack that silver then. M7 is very right. You got to stack gold and silver. I mean, you really, really do. And you have to think, what are big banks across the whole world doing? If you want to talk about BRICS and things like that, what are they doing? They're buying as much gold as they can, which I think is because they know something really bad is about to happen. And you know, we might even see, with how our government is participating in the overall, like, grand scheme of things, just going more and more into debt, the fear that America as a superpower just goes away because our dollar's worth nothing because of them, because of politicians. They don't produce anything. But that is very, very scary because other countries are piling up gold like it's hotcakes, right? Picked up some SPY puts next week. Friday swing ahead. Yeah, that's good. Some minor divergence on VXX. Oh yeah, and we're gonna look at Celsius in a second, Corey. So short-term futures, VIX, short-term futures. First of all, we got to pay attention. Is this the one that doesn't have the decay? I can't remember. No, this one's not going up. So this most likely has decay in it because it's always going down. So pay attention to that. You don't necessarily want to pay attention to these type of signals because this is on something that's always going down. So if I just scroll out, you can see the MACD behavior doesn't look great. It's always negative, okay? Always negative on the daily scale. So what do I want to pay attention to? Volatility itself, right? The VIX. This would be more telling. What did we say also? That 13 level could be where the volatility comes back in. So let's go look at a 2-hour. Let's see how that's been behaving. And look at this. It never was able to confirm the next move down. So the slightly higher time frame, the 2-hour, is saying, hey, yeah, volatility can still come right back in. VXX does decay. Thank you, Slot Machine. You kind of can tell that just by zooming out on the chart. You don't even have to research it too much. All right, let's go look at Celsius real quick. Corey, I didn't forget about you. I didn't forget about you. You know what I'm saying? I see your comment. I'm pretty good at looking back on this stuff. Woo, it's cooking. It's cooking. So that is your swing trade up. Now, notice right now you do have a 2-hour divergence. Take that with a grain of salt because that is a good move. We blew past an area where you would really like to see a little bit more structure. A little bit more structure here, I would say. This makes me a little worried. What I want to see, maybe the daily scale. This could look good on the daily. Yeah, that's finally going positive. So if you know how to swing trade, or if you just take my course, you can really put it together and use that information to swing trade. Okay, we close above this level. All right, we cross on this MACD. So actually, this bar here is where you take upside. Did we ever get a red bar closing down like beneath the 20 or something? No, we didn't yet. So this means I can ride this thing all the way up. Now, swing trading like this, not the best thing to do on the daily scale for options because you can see, volatility come in with these bars and maybe those drops do kind of make your position suffer. But from an investment perspective, when I used to, trade very, very, very safely before I was really good at following these indicators years ago, I would do stuff like this. I would buy this, see this cross up at the same time, and then I would just take this up, find a little target, maybe this high, and then I would be out of that move. But this is a strong move. It's able to go positive. What does that mean? Well, we went positive, so we can test this high. We can make a new one as long as this move remains strong. So how would you be screwed out of this move? The 2-hour rips down. I would even say we'd look at a 30-minute here and just see if there's a little divergence in the near price action. But this looks like strength to me. Very, very strong move on the daily scale. TLT continuing to drop. What's happening with the overall market? Huge amount of calls coming in. You can look at the PCC right now. Calls really coming in. Okay, this is where you can see bullishness. Okay, let's look on the daily here and get us some lines going. Okay, we're pointing out a lot of stuff today, but this is a bullish signal initially. But once that turns back around, if we see a top and that turns back around and crosses back through this red line, that usually is a sign that some selling is coming. So I would pay attention to that. And then you can look the other way, right? So when we cross above this is very bearish up here. And then as we do cross back down, that usually is where we see a little bit of bottoming out in some overall moves. But this is people getting way too bullish right now. Gold is ripping, dude. Let's get rid of some of these lines here. These are officially broken at this point. Look at that wedge. Remember, we gave this trade. I took the first initial one, and then really you could just swing this thing right back up, right? 2-hour got beat down, curls up. Once that goes positive, I'd say maybe on this curl up right here. Okay, you take that, boom, 216 all the way up to 219. Pretty good move there. Dang, we didn't even make that shoulder we were talking about. Remember, today we were talking about, hey, some kind of shoulder would look nice. We don't even do that. Pretty bullish sign. Means they didn't have to drop down and gain some buyers. Did I see a crash except in mining stocks? Well, it depends on why the crash is happening, but if we're in an environment where the crash is happening and gold still performs, there are crashes that happen where gold actually drops off dramatically as well. There are crashes that happen like that, but if you have gold that is really scaling up, say inflation is CPI next week comes out hot. What happens to gold? Well, gold becomes more valuable because the dollar is, you can buy less stuff with dollars. So people would say gold is a good hedge against inflation, and we still have that inflation increasing, so gold goes up. That's what I would say from that. So you want to pay attention to why the market is selling off, and if gold is a good hedge for whatever reason the market is selling off. Now, oil, something very interesting here, has been breaking out. We saw some big divergences down here. So that's pretty cool. The daily is trying to curl up here. If that curls up, then the inflation play is back on, folks. We beat down, break below the 200 for a moment. We are below the 200, but as we do get above this moving average, we can break through this flagging I have here. It looks like a little flag. If we can break through that, get above 84.72, I think we definitely come test this high. We probably even go make a new one. So Very, very scary time. And the other thing with oil and gold, what if it's geopolitical? What if something geopolitical is going on? And right now we know things are really, really getting ugly overseas for me. So I'm here in America, so that's overseas for me. Down a single runner, 75 cents, expiring next week. I legged out of the majority of the position yesterday. Nice. Wait, so that's a win, right? For a second there, I was like taking that as you got like you tried to cut a loss, but I think that means you took profit and you're kind of just letting one more ride. Congratulations, Corey. Can we give Corey a congratulations in the chat, please? We love seeing wins. Bruce, you're welcome, by the way. Thank you for saying thank you. I hope Israel will not leave the UN today. Is there talks about that happening? It is just it's a rough time, and the stuff that I see on the internet, I'm like, man, I never want to see that. Especially when you're like a new dad and you see those kids, it's like it's awful, but it's like you really have to think about it. And I'm not gonna comment on it because I know that people have different viewpoints, and I'm gonna have my own viewpoint. I would wish that you guys respect that just like I respect yours, but I don't think we need to mention anything like that today. We don't need to try to get into any of that and cause any arguments, right? Congrats, Corey. Par says congrats. Gold and silver mining might be the up when the crash hits the tech. Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm getting at. If the crash is good for gold, you have to look at the reason for if it's good for gold. Because if it's good for gold, then people are probably going to mine more gold, right? That's how I see it. That sweet, sweet SPY move. Now, the thing is, I'm like, oh, man, this went up, and yesterday I had calls, but did my call actually make that move? No, it didn't. It's actually fading that move as of right now. Some kind of 30-minute divergence here as well. So you see how close we are to going negative. If we double top here, that would be very, very bad. So we want to pay attention to two things at once. How could we go down? How could we go up, right? We could go up by creating that handle right here and not breaking below these levels, right? Not able to fully go negative for quite some time. We can roll negative for a moment, but how would we want to see a double top? Okay, then this goes negative and it sees a dramatic drop. Maybe we get some basing out. We see that just drop off. So this is a cup and handle could form, right? Cup, handle could form. Okay, cool. And then the other side of that is double top is here. Hamas puts... Good morning. AMD moving up a little bit. It is cruising, and it's going positive. Like, this does not look awful for AMD at this moment, right? We curl down, we get close to the center line, we get some wonky green bars. Now we get the strong one. So that would convince you, hey, I test this high and make a new one. But I would be careful taking any upside plays as the SPY is, well, rejecting off of that monthly expected move. But if you look at the grand scheme of things, if we create a handle here, we could see a boom in the stock market. That's why I'm like, oof, I don't think that boom comes. I'm going to be totally honest. At this moment, I don't think that boom comes. I actually think we might experience a major top in May. I'm still with that. What did Bubblicious? That was actually really funny, Bubblicious. I'm just going to be totally honest there. Any opinion on the crazy volume on GameStop? I mean, it's a short squeeze, and okay, here's the thing. I think it's a short squeeze, right? Overall, across the board, it looks like a short squeeze. And I think so many people think that GameStop's going to do that crazy thing and get to hundreds of dollars again. I don't think that happens. It's kind of like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So I don't think they let that happen, or they're going to be part of the move. So I'm not convinced that's going to happen, but it is a solid move. It is a solid move. I just think that's probably a bunch of people on Reddit who bought calls, and then the short volume went down, and now it's going up with a short squeeze. Like, I don't, and short squeeze, I don't even know if that's a short squeeze. I don't even know if there's a ton of shorts behind GameStop, right? So that could just be buying. Anybody else think Hood could bounce back up? Hood here. Hood in talks, Robinhood in talks for potentially opening up trading for futures. I thought that was very interesting. 10 a.m. data comes out. Okay, 9 a.m. Let's go look at that data. That's most likely why we're... Ooh, that is awful. Okay, 67.4 is not good. Okay, you want to see some strong consumer sentiment. That is very, very, very weak. So that's most likely why we're seeing the SPY drop off. But notice how weak that is. That is so weak. And the other thing I wanted to mention about, these moves here, this move higher yesterday, we got jobs data, and this is why I kind of hate the market sometimes, but like I understand why it goes up, but it kind of just makes me like annoyed with us, with market behavior, because right now we're in a time where it's like, ooh, jobless claims went up, so the stock market goes up. It's like more people are unemployed and don't have jobs. Let's make rich people richer. Like that just really, it kind of upsets me, to be honest. It's the environment we're in, and I got a deal. I'll look at one of those for you. Chris, which one do you really want me to look at? Chris, which one do you really want me to look at? Bot puts at the monthly expected move so far. Very nice. This my sister. Crsp. Crispy! Alright, let's take a look at this guy. So what do you see? Well, you're still in a negative trend on the shorter time frames. Would this be a good investment, is how I would say, because this thing's been beaten up for a long time. Well, right now, what do you have? You have no real divergences. Are you at a support level? Like almost. I would say this bundle looks good. This looks good. This kind of looks good. This is where you got some breakout. You have some lows down in this area as well. So I'd say this level is actually pretty good. The reason I'm talking about lower levels is because what's the daily doing? Well, it crossed up and it did not go positive. So I have to talk about it a little negatively on the daily scale because the direction is down. It's in negative territory. Now that can still get some kind of pop. We can pay attention to what we're seeing in here to see if that daily is going to roll back up. But as of right now, you would say, hey, this rolls down negative territory. Maybe I go to a support level. I would say there's a zone, I'd say right here, 48.61. Because if I look at 48.61, what do you see? I see a touch right here for support. If I hold that all the way across, what do I see? Well, we came in at support there as well. And then we also came in here and here, like pretty much right at 48.61. So this is a level I would pay attention to, 48.61. Now, if we're going to go a little bit deeper, let's go into a 2-hour, see how that's behaving. As of right now, you probably have divergence. Okay, you do. You do have divergence down here. So this might be a moment where it can reverse around. The only problem here is you're not going positive yet. So you need this to go positive, and you're really beat down. So if you're looking at this from an investment perspective, you can really be patient on this. If this 2-hour confirms, right, you're fine with missing out on $1 or $2. You can just say, okay, now it's a good buy, and I can see what my target will be. But 2-hour divergence not confirmed yet, so we can't talk about upside, especially as the daily looks like it could keep rolling down. So I gotta stretch real quick. All right. No, it's not crazy. It's never crazy. Chris, hopefully that was helpful. No, type K blood. It's not crazy. I mean, it's perfectly fine. The thing is, half, like I'd say probably at least half, maybe more, probably more than half of my plays are scale-in plays where I'm kind of like, man, I kind of hope this goes higher so that I can average down a little bit. Or I kind of hope this goes lower so I can average down a little bit. You know what I mean? DJT looks unstoppable. DJT. Where's Willow at? I haven't seen Willow here in a while. Junior's here. Michigan consumer sentiment came out, and that thing was bearish as hell. All right, pay attention. DJT might be getting your lower high very, very soon. See, it's almost like, isn't it weird how every upward stock we see looks like they almost are creating double top, and then at the same time are giving us a 30-minute divergence? It's just, it does not look pretty. And this would be a time if you're like, you want to go to the call side or something like that, I would highly encourage you to be patient. Wait for things to really base out so you can get a stronger move into this, because this is not a signal that you want to fight against, especially if you see that roll over. Now, I'm not saying you can't hold this, see if it goes. Like, if you're investing at these levels, I totally understand. From a trading perspective, though, if I see this and I'm a shorter term, even a 2-week trader, I'm not thinking this goes higher in the next few couple days, right? I think that this needs to beat down and then curl back up. That's the most likely thing as you're getting overbought. Now, we haven't confirmed that divergence or anything like that yet, but if we did, we can go negative. So that would mean the trend reverses around. Not a good thing. About 20 calls for $5. Happy Friday's here, and it's Friday. I used to do a, what impression did I used to do? It was Matthew McConaughey. Oh man, I used to do the funniest impression of him. You ever turn your lights off in your house and start making out with a hot woman and then only to realize your sister is there? Well, then you need to drive a Lincoln Continental or whatever. I'm like, what the hell? I used to be really good at it back when I was funny. They have destroyed the middle class. Not only that, Rocky Rock, I really like that statement because they definitely have. There is no middle class now. The upper middle class is actually the lower middle class now. And the only people who are really benefiting from everything that's happening is the top 10%. And I'd even go as far to say maybe only the top 5%. But there are people who are doing okay out there. Why? Because they're holding stocks from the 2020 lows. Okay, here's your Wolf of Wall Street one. Your Wolf of Wall Street is, I bought shorts yesterday. Stocks went higher. I'm not fucking leaving. There are the haves and have-mores and the have-nothings. 3DT 518 puts. Not a bad play. Even today, even today, not a bad play because you could end up all the way at 516 today. Quick move there. And then see that continue next week. Ooh, that'd be good. Ooh, that'd be nice. I'm rooting for you. Delicious. Nvidia dropping off. Ooh, another trap. Remember what I was saying about this move? Most likely this is going to be a bull trap. I was like, even if we head higher, I was like, yeah, I wouldn't consider this one a trap. I would consider this one a trap. I would consider this one a trap. And now I was like, now I think we're getting another trap. I don't think that heads higher. Why? Well, the SPY sitting right at that day, monthly expected move Qs. Where's it going? Up towards the weekly. So now I want you to really look at this. Really look at this if you're still bullish and tell me that this is a very, very, very safe time. I'm not saying, there's not ever any risk ever of more upside. I'm just saying if we're bullish here, this confirms we're in a lot of trouble. So I'm going to say that's going to confirm down because I don't want to lose a ton of money to the upside. So taking a play down. One thing I want to look at Meta. Meta was looking awful. Meta looked awful, awful, awful. I just want to show you guys. Like, okay, we know there's upward price action. All these highs are upward price action. Look at this RSI. Look at that RSI. Look at that direction for the RSI coming in at the highs. Boom. Just down. Just down. That is ugly looking for Meta right now. Not necessarily like the most bearish thing. It's ugly looking for more upside right now. That's probably the better way to put it. Apple moving above the monthly range. And yeah, this is what we were mentioning with Apple. We actually said this a couple YouTube videos, or we said it live, I think, which was Apple. The reason I'm worried about it, it's outside of its monthly. It's outside of its monthly, and it was outside of its weekly last week and its monthly. So that thing's probably going to experience some resistance. And the thing is, that call side is still just it's still at 0.75. Still at 0.75. People are convinced, like, hey, we're going to buy this dip. Apple really selling off. Volatility finally going up of almost 2% now. Let's go look at my volatility play, see how that's performing. now that the SPY came down a little bit, it lost a little bit of value. That's pretty funny. Still remaining pretty good. Does not look pretty. Now that's a 15-minute, 30-minute. If that goes negative, that's a bad thing. That's a bad thing. Well, but what could we see? Well, we could just be seeing some kind of ABC move. All right, let's see where that would get us. It would get us into this zone. What do we like to do? Well, we like to go up, touch into a zone, and then see that break out even higher. So we're still paying attention to cup and handle, but I'm just going to tell you right now, with how HYG and TLT has such a big difference from the SPY, I'm kind of convinced still, right? I said it before the month even began. I like to say what I think is going to happen in the month that's coming. In March, we said it was going to be trappy. We were right? And then in April, we said there would be some kind of top for a correction or even a crash. We were right. It was a correction of 8%. Called the move up, called the squeeze. And now we're saying in May, we might be getting a major top, meaning a actual bigger correction over 10%, or some kind of stock market crash in the form of a bear market. Now, that being said, we flip-flop back and forth. So if that changes, we will change immediately. And I'll be talking about my change in proving that with how the charts are showing itself, right? I'll be proving that. So if this is just some kind of pullback and this isn't going to be a top, okay, we see that curl up. All right, this doesn't fully go negative. This curls up positive territory. We keep going higher. We're always flip-flopping. Tesla, there's that breakdown again. You're oversold at this point for Tesla. Apple curling down. Want to see if that actually goes negative. Amazon looks ugly as hell. Now, the divergence on the RSI, just very flat, even maybe not even there, but you can really see this on the 15-minute, how it wants to go negative. Look at that. It wants to go negative here, and it's just not the best time. Now, this could make another move higher. Don't think this can't. This is right at the center line. What do we like to see in bullish context if this is going to keep squeezing for Amazon? What do we do? Well, we'd get towards that center line and see that curl up. So what are we doing right now? We see that go towards that center line and curl up. So if I have shorts here, this is how I can get screwed, right? If I'm not scaling into a move and I'm saying we're going to see some kind of big crash down over the next 2 days, then if this curls up, I would really get out of that move, because this is going to ruin that option play. NVIDIA breaking down now. Okay, let me see here, though, because you do have liquidity here, so it could be a liquidity grab. Just be careful. That could trap the bears. Get rid of this. This is kind of just in my way. Like, this could be breakout retest. So this doesn't have to be like super bullish at this point. You look at the 15-minute, it was able to go positive. If that curls down, if that actually goes negative, that's where take out the low. Probably test this trend down here. IWM is negative. Oof, look at that divergence. IWM, great looking play. Now we want to see if that confirms. What's going to happen? Do we curl over this 2 hour? What's the 2 hour look like? It's already curled over, so you're going to get rejection, and sometimes that's worse. So now you have potential for double top. You have a 30-minute divergence. You have a 2 hour that's not confirming any more upside. It looks like we could see a big move down from here. And we'll be flip-flopping back and forth. We got to pay attention to how we can get screwed out of a trade. So if I think that 2 hour is going to fully cross down or curl down very dramatically, what would I pay attention to? Probably even just a 15-minute. Probably just a 15-minute. I would look at this. If I see it curl down and not able to really go negative here with something dramatic, just kind of trickle down like this, and then curl up, well, that could just be cup and handle. So that's how I'd get screwed to the down, or if I want downside. Oof. Ugh. Ugh. Brother, ugh. Ugh. All right, Netflix. All right, Netflix getting a little overzealous here. We see the divergence now. We see it. Screw you, dude. You're going down. Oh, this is very cool about Netflix. I actually have something to tell you guys about Netflix. Do you guys want to hear what I did? So I looked at a Facebook post that was posted asking Kansas people, what is something that you like or that you think is a decent thing, but you're getting rid of because it's just too expensive and you have to get rid of it. Like 50% of the people said all of their streaming platforms. They said, we don't need those and other things are more important, and they're just getting more and more expensive every like 2 months. They said streaming platforms. So Netflix going up like this, I'm telling you right now, it was like every other comment. There were thousands and thousands of comments. I probably read 60 of them. Half of them said we are getting rid of our streaming platforms. I've seen that it seems to reject off of 187, but the indicators suggest that it is not time yet. Let's see, Darwin. Now, TNX. TNX is going to be the 10-year yield. So TNX here is pretty much your 10-year yield. Just taking that play here. So what would I say about TNX? Okay, let's look at this from a 2-hour perspective. Okay, we just curled up, so that we're not really positive here. But what are we trying to do? We're trying to base out. It looks like we're trying to create some kind of... Oh, TXN. Damn it. You got me all excited. I was ready to talk about that. I live in Lawrence. Hey, I went to college there. That's right. I used to be in your city, Volatily. I used to go to college there. Have you ever been to the Hawk? TNX will dive. If we see that flip, right now you have a difference between TLT and the SPY. What if that flips and people run to safety and then the SPY drops while TLT goes up? Well, that would be the rates going way down. That's where we're talking about, like, hey, usually the rates going down or getting cut is not a good thing. Let's go Hawks. All right, TXN, sorry. But that is that's a good ETF to pay attention to if you want to take the opposite play there of TLT. Oof, look at that. Okay. Okay, this will be fun. And I appreciate you asking about it. Who in the chat can try to break down this stock? Who in the chat wants to give like a little 3-sentence breakdown of the stock right now? I'll even give you a little help. I'd say this point. Well, try to break it down though, Slot Machine. Really test yourself here. Test your knowledge. What things can you point out to me that would be very, very useful for Darwin to pay attention to? And then I'll say if it's right and things like that. Paracosm saying very simply, I would not buy that. Bear flag? Not necessarily a bear flag. It would be a bearish rising wedge. There you go, Slot Machine. Overbought on the MACD and RSI. And what else do we see about the MACD and RSI? Yes, it is violating some of that divergence, but it's pretty flat. And then what is it about the... I want to short it at the right time. I mean, this is a 2-hour, first of all. So if you want to find a better position, you can look into a 30-minute. What's the 30-minute telling you? What's the 30-minute telling you? Very, very close to negative territory. I'm in a rising wedge. I could see some kind of breakthrough of this wedge, retest and go down. What does this divergence tell you that 2-hour can roll over? What do we have on the 2-hour? We have divergence. This is a very, very good one to look at, and I love the fact that you're looking at it, Darwin. I'm going to tell you right now, you were looking at it correctly. This is when things can reverse around or get some kind of pullback. You have to think in that way in the environment that we're in. Still in a short squeeze technically. So if this is going to break down on a 30-minute, you want to pay attention if that does curl back up into positive territory. Very important to be positive here. If this makes some kind of dramatic drop and curls up into negative territory, then you'd talk about it the other way. But right now, you have to talk about it in positive context. But this is a reversal signal. I totally understand your thinking here. Great job. Check the dollar. Yes, we need to keep our eye on the dollar. That thing. Oop. Oh, look at that. Starting to rise up a little bit. Let's look at the 2-hour. Remember, I like my 2-hour for the dollar. What did we get? We got a beat down, and now we could cross up and go positive here. If we start to get above 105.65, that is bad. That's why you should... I mean, hopefully you guys appreciate some of the insight we give when we get these big squeezes, because what have we been saying in the dollar? Well, the dollar is telling us that someone is selling into this big upward move, and most likely that is insiders as we are seeing TLT drop off. What is happening with the dollar now? We're starting to really scale up. What did we do? We got close to the center line. We did not fully break down like this and then curl back up and curl back down, right? It's the other way. We curled down to the center line. Looks like we could go positive. Still has to go positive and get above 105.65. The other thing about the dollar is SPY hitting new highs, dollar not hitting new lows. That tells you that the dollar is still strong here. We could see some kind of move upward. If that's going to change, we'll flip the script. right? We'll flip the script, but right now that looks like the move. Actually, I was going by the levels. Let's look at that too. TXN, let's look at some levels for you as well. But that's how I would do it as well. And you're right, you're paying attention to the highs up here, right? You're paying attention to these highs, which have proven to be resistance. That's just another reason, right? In the course, we talk about 3 to 5 reasons to take a trade. The reason that this looks like a good trade is because you have multiple reasons. You have a 30-minute reason. You have a 2-hour reason. You have a resistance reason. You have an overbought reason. You have a ton of reasons. What's the other reason? The SPY is hitting its upward expected move on the monthly scale, and it's outside of its weekly right now. Those are all reasons to take a trade. You could probably make 7, 8, or 9 reasons to take this play. I actually really like the look at this. If we're going to get some kind of surprise, well, then that'll beat down to the center line on the 30-minute curl back up. That's how we know to get out of the move, right? But as of right now, look at all these highs holding very, very strong. So if you're going to break through these highs, what are you going to need? You're going to need more buyers. So at least some kind of pullback is coming. Pay attention to the 2-hour and the 30-minute curling back up into positive territory. That's how you'd get screwed out of this move, right? So you may see a pullback down to here, see that cross back up into positive territory, and you'd say, hey, I made some money. Good job. Now I can make an upward move and pay attention to the signals even higher. Good morning, JS. Oh, I got to drink my coffee. It's getting cold. M7, I actually kind of agree with you a little bit. I think it's possible. Plus 41% already on the 518s. Hell yeah, let's go. That is a bubblicious trade. Historically, it gets around 175 and then makes a big extended move down. There you go. So this is where that trend can reverse. You're paying attention to the horizontal levels, which is if I'm going into a trade or something like that, I am paying attention to horizontal levels most of the time. If I need a couple more reasons to be convinced, and that would be a great reason at this point. So 186, what could we be seeing? Well, we could see this fill this gap down here at 165 pretty damn quick because we're just trickling up, right? Stair stepper up, elevator down could be happening. So you notice I cut this out because I noticed that this trend right here is more important. That's something to note here. Sometimes you need to cut out that rapid move and just look at it from what it did right after. And this looks like a very good trend to pay attention to. Use Fibonacci every once in a while. So usually when I use Fibonacci, it is on the daily scale. So to show you an example of that, I'm probably going to have to go... Actually, we can do it right now. Now, this fib level is not going to work. I like to pay attention to golden pocket. So here. So let's go back to where we crashed down in 2021 to really show Fibonacci levels. All right, so if I take a fib level down to this area, what happened? I went to the golden pocket, okay? So this is probably something I need to put into the course and add to it. If I add that to it, this would be very, very good. How to create this level, right? How to create this. And then because this is exactly where we gravitate towards in a very bearish time. We gravitate right towards this little red line, the green line, right in between there, that little box right there. Very, very important. Some people say the true golden pocket is technically like all of this. I just like mine to be a little bit tighter. A little bit tighter. Turned out to be early on the longer time frames, but it is looking good today. Yeah, that's true, Darwin. And sometimes you got to be willing to scale in. Sometimes you got to be willing to get out and get right back in. And that's perfectly fine. But as far as fib levels go, this is overall what I pay attention to. In very bearish context, I'll look for this because when you pull down, usually you gravitate towards that golden pocket. We actually happen to hit it twice here, giving you a double top before you rotated down. So this would be something to really pay attention to. That's mainly how I use fib levels. So once again, you could probably do it again. Now this fib level is not going to be the golden pocket, but this is a very, very bearish move, right? So this is a very, very bearish move. That's not going to be a fib level. What's that going to be? It's going to be right at that, right between 0.38 and 0.5. So 38%, 50%. But usually fib levels are what I'm paying attention to. You can pay attention to it in what's it called? You can pay attention to it for like downward moves and upward moves. So if you see this upward move right here, I believe this was a good fib level for that golden pocket, right? So we came up to this level. What happened? We almost got there. So pretty close right there. But yeah, that's how I would overall use it. Bubblicious says, happy Friday, dono train for Grubhub. Amazing lunch. Come on, chat. Pay up. My dude out here putting in work. No socialism in chat. Pay your dues. Hey, it's all right. As long as you guys are showing up. And if you have a really good play and you want to give back to the community, that is awesome. But thank you so much, Bubblicious, for the trying to give out that sentiment of some give back to the community. I really appreciate that. You guys know I also just appreciate you guys here. I'm out of the SPY. 89%. Paracosm. Well done. Well done. Trading like water, guys. Trading like water. Even though Paracosm knows this could go lower, he or she likes the fact that, hey, I made 89% very, very quickly. I'm going to trade like water and take my profit here. Remember, you can be green all you want. And thank you so much for the $5, Bubblicious, but been here since you started, said everybody. I know, happy Friday's been here for, like, you guys have been here forever. You know I'm not, like, out here trying to get a bunch of donations or anything like that. I think it's awesome when you guys are like, go buy a new mouse, go get yourself some lunch, go get some coffee or something like that. I do appreciate it, obviously. Like, it's a big deal to me, but very, very cool. I literally followed this down move all the way to the 15 second. And this is where you could, start to, if you look at like even a 1 minute, you'd say this is very beat up. We're probably going to get some kind of bounce soon as we go towards the gap fill. And then we could see some kind of bounce. Maybe we see double top or something. Happy Friday gives $5. Thank you so much, Happy Friday. Really appreciate it. Bubblicious starting a trend. Bubblicious starting a positive donation trend. Have you heard of GYEN? Japan released its version of stablecoin for the yen to pair with the dollar via another stablecoin. I have not. Hey, Luke, I'm starting out in stocks. Any advice? Sorry, Felipe, I'm just getting to this. Hopefully you're still here. For new investors, or any suggestions for the less knowledgeable? I love your videos. They are very useful. Okay, so if you are blatantly new, and this is something I talk about a lot, and thank you so much, Happy Friday. Claps for Happy Friday and Bubblicious, guys. Come on, let's cheer them out. Cheer them out. They're giving their hard-earned money to give back to this community, and they're always, Happy Friday's been here for a long time. Bubblicious is funny, right? You were funny today, so we really appreciate you being here, and I look forward to more and more streams with you guys. As far as if you are new, I would highly encourage you to dedicate yourself to learning, and if you have a stable job, in this environment, and I would say a very necessary job in this environment, plumbing, construction, anything like that, what we could do is we could save our money over time while we learn, right? We could learn for a couple of months, maybe just back test stuff. Think of your strategies, or try to learn a strategy, try to learn how to swing trade, try to just learn about these indicators, absorb as much as possible, while also stacking some side money to invest at lower levels. When you do see signals like this on the monthly scale, this doesn't mean become a trader. This overall means I might be able to buy stocks at much lower prices, right? If we see this monthly divergence confirm and we see a dramatic downward move, which you guys know, my dramatic downward move is leaning towards 156.80 on the SPY. And that's pretty crazy, but if that were to happen, hey, you'd be a guy that worked really hard, you kept your job, you'd performed really well. Maybe we only go down to 329. That's my first number. You see the green line. That's my first number I think we might hold up at. But what could happen is something very, very bad. What does this mean? You could buy stocks for very cheap. Right here means you could buy Apple for what, $100 or something like that. Down here means you could buy Apple for like $35 or $50. So that's what I would overall say if you're new. Now, if you are new as well, I would just dedicate yourself to learning and then try to paper trade. I think paper trading is very, very good. Try to at least be like, I'm bullish here. Write it down. If you don't want to do it on your computer, just write down like, okay, I place a buy here. I exit here. What happened? How was the trade? Sold at 85%. Just need a spin one master to come back. He had cool stories. Yeah, where has he been? He was telling us some very interesting stuff. He had some good insight. I hope that was helpful. Rocky Rock, you are very, very welcome. It's great to pay attention to the macro side, even when we're seeing, and it's great to pay attention to the micro side as of right now, because what are we seeing on the micro scale? I guess if you want to call it 30-minute on micro scale, the shorter time frames, what are we seeing? Well, we're seeing weakness right now, which means we have to be open to that confirming eventually. VWAP test and then get back in, and that very well can happen as well. You know, I don't necessarily use VWAPs. It just didn't add too much to mine, but I do pay attention to YouTubers who use them to find those levels and things like that. I just don't want too many lines on my chart. I try to keep things very simple. S&P is rejecting. One thing to consider regarding your thesis is Venezuela. When their currency failed, it was really good to be in the market. Well, didn't Venezuela was the hyperinflation, also like being in the market when you're talking about Venezuela is like Venezuela had food lines. They had food lines. And you know what's funny is we actually saw some politicians, I think, saying like, "Oh, we would love if there was food lines." And I was like, "You guys are psychos. You guys are psychotic if you want food lines. You literally want people lining up to get food? That is so psycho to me." And that's probably just because the dollar becomes pretty worthless at that point. Hyperinflation would probably be on the table. But did Venezuela experience hyperinflation? I got to make sure to get that right. In 2016, Venezuela entered hyperinflation. The inflation rate reached 274% in 2016 and 863% in 2017 and 130,000% in 2018. The overall inflation rate has increased to 53.8 million %. Yeah, so you probably want to be in the stock market at that point, because if you're not, then you're just not going to keep up, right? Your wages aren't going to keep up. We know the difference between wages and the stock market. By the way, if you want to see what the line between wages and the stock market looks like right now, I'm going to tell you guys. I mean, I'm not going to look it up because I have to go find it. It's going to take me a minute, but do you want to know what it looks like? Stock market. And people are like, wages are growing, right? Don't you hear politicians say that? Hey, we increased the wages. Who has heard that? Raise your hand, say, I've heard it in the chat, if you have heard that wages are increasing and it's a great thing. Have you heard that lately? Sure, it's good versus evil, but who has most evil, at least at this moment? But I know what you mean. Yeah, you got it. Me, you've heard it. Do we usually sell off before the next CPI report? We can, and then CPI can come out as bullish. Yep. Okay, I'm going to show you guys what that chart looks like. I don't even have to look it up. I literally looked at it 2 days ago. So... oh, actually, we'll do it this way. Okay, so wages right now actually has been going like this. Perfect, right? Wages have been going up. Isn't that a cool thing? Isn't that great? Who agrees that wages going up is a good thing? Now, this is a different question. So say I agree, so we know it's not yes or no. Say I agree, wages, or I disagree, wages going up is a bad thing. Do we agree that that is a good or bad thing? No. All right. Now I'm going to show you what the stock market looks like, but except for the I'm going to show you guys what the line of the stock market looks like compared to these wages. All right, so I know I have a bunch of lines here, but the wages line is way down here, and the stock market is way up there. Never paid state tax, so I'm paranoid. You might be fine. I think government might be going away. We might have some civil war or something. Nah, I'll try to take out as many expenses as you can. So, who likes that look? Man, do you guys like this look? Man, the stock market is way up here, but hey, wages are definitely going up. I don't see it. I don't see the wages going up. They're not keeping up, which is why you're seeing the middle class be deleted out of the system, because these are rich people who just own stocks and they just get richer and richer and richer, and they don't really care about their wage. They care about their gains, and this is the middle class. Yeah, and that's kind of the sad thing, that a regular job, it's better to sit at a computer. Even I think that's sad, but it's better to sit at a computer than to actually participate in the work environment. Or if you're unless you have a necessity job, in my opinion, right? But that's what it looks like. When you really get down to it, the wage increase, sure, it looks like that if you zoom in, but it looks like this if you compare it to the S&P 500. Fair causes at work right now, and I still encourage you guys, keep getting that money, keep getting that cash flow. A job is a great source of cash flow. I still have other stuff that I work on, right? I'm not just sitting here doing this all the time. Now, sure, I'm doing it with you guys every single morning, and I do it throughout my day, but I'm still doing other things as well. I knew an investor been losing money over and over for the past month. Watching your live makes me feel sorry. I didn't see this. Let me go look at this. I want to make sure new people know I'm paying attention. The spiky likes. I am reading your comment. Safer and manage to avoid doing more mistakes. How's that going for you, spiky likes? $400,000 household income and barely feel middle class. Yeah, it depends what state you live in. If you were making that in my city, you'd be pretty good. Some of the actually, we had some of the grocery stores here in my city are actually just cutting food prices because they're trying to help people out. They literally are just cutting the prices of items because they know people are struggling to buy them. And over the past 6 months, let's see, 6 months ago, I would spend $120 and be able to get a full amount of, at least a decent amount of groceries for 2 people. That would last maybe 1 to 2 weeks, maybe. Now, to get those same groceries, I pay about $200. In just 6 months, I pay about $200. And it seems like everything's just shrinking, like shrinkflation. Okay, not that good, but learning every day. I would encourage you to take a step back, okay? Because if you're losing money consistently, that means that you probably would have better luck at a casino, right? So what you want to do is figure out how to notice when you have an edge, right? So you want to notice the times where you have an edge. You might need to do a little bit more learning about these indicators instead of just like trusting when they cross up, taking a call, right? You want to have multiple reasons to take the trade and things like that. What I would encourage you to do is take a step back and learn and fake play those plays that you want to make as of right now. Learn for the next 2 months. There's always going to be a trade setup. Every single week, there's probably going to be a trade setup. Sometimes I have to wait a week, but every 2 weeks, there's a trade setup. Okay? So there, you will have trades to get into. And worst case, if you can hold down a job and things like that, you can try to save money over time. Not go to Starbucks, right? Don't get your coffee at Starbucks. Just make coffee at home every single day. If you're eating out a ton, well, fast food is actually becoming one of the most inflated things in the market right now, in the overall economy right now, because nobody's cooking. Everyone thinks that groceries are really expensive and somehow fast food's better. It's not. I just went and ate fast food yesterday because we were being lazy. Didn't have time to go to cook, right? We're very, very busy. We don't eat a lot of fast food, but we had to eat fast food last night. Do you know how much it cost me? It cost me $22 for 2 meals. Fast food used to cost me, what was it, $5 a piece, right? It was $10. Now it's over double. I knew to pull my SPY puts. Carvana to the downside, please. Let's go look at Cardano. The market is bouncing. The market's not convinced. Remember, we're still in a positive environment here. So this is the sickness of the market. Now, what can we see with this bounce? Dollar's dropping off as well, so we're seeing that. But dollar's still at elevated levels compared to the SPY. So not convinced. Volatility, yes, that is dropping off. Okay, that means more and more calls trickling in a month out. All right, people are still bullish here. This is the fear getting sucked out of the market right now. And now we might head towards 12.12. We might just head towards 12.12. $3,000 to $3,500 a month on Uber Eats. Yeah, stop doing, like, if you can, stop doing that. Like anywhere you can, like, and I know you make a solid amount, but I would say someone that is starting out trading and maybe doesn't have the best job or doesn't have the best income, I'm going to tell you right now, if you really want to be successful, you will make the moves to be successful. And this is something crazy that I talk about, and all my friends think I'm crazy for saying this all the time. Switch to a flip phone. Switch to a flip phone. Stop buying data. Stop paying major amounts for these things that aren't necessities. Do you really need a flip phone? Do you have a laptop and you can trade on that? Do you have internet? Cool. Okay, awesome. Do you need a smartphone? No, you don't. The fact is, our standard of living is way, way higher than it was 20 years ago. And if you go back to the standard of living for 20 years ago, you will save a ton of money, a ton. Stop getting Netflix, right? I'm seeing that on Facebook. I literally was on Facebook reading about it from people in Kansas. People in Kansas, half of them, at least out of the 60 comments I read, half of them said, we're getting rid of all of our streaming platforms. No. I am not a Dave Ramsey fan at all. At all. But I'm telling you that people, and I'm not saying like people who are making, it's like if you're making less than $36,000 a year, then you probably should be doing those things if you want to start to actually build back better, right? If you actually want to save money and then donate that into a career trading or something like that. If you want to become a good trader, you have to do those things if you're in that scenario where you're not making a lot of money. I never spend over $200. Well, I recently did that. You guys, I did this. It's not like I just preach this stuff. Like now I need a smartphone. I know I need a smartphone. So what do I do? Okay. Well, T-Mobile was charging me about $100 a month. About $100 a month. So what did I do? I switched to Mint Mobile. Do you know how much Mint Mobile charges me? $15 a month. I pay for internet. Most of the time I'm at my house, so I pay for internet. Why would I get a bunch of data? No, I get 5 gigs and I pay $15 a month now. You do those little things all the way down into everything you do. And then sure, it's important to go have fun. I understand it's important to go have fun and do those types of things. But at the same time, you have to say, is this an environment where having fun is very important, or is your actual living situation probably more important at this point to you? Is your living situation very difficult? Are you struggling to get by every single month? Well, I would encourage you to look at Mint Mobile. Maybe I'll even put my link up or something like that. You guys want me to put my Mint Mobile link so you guys can sign up for Mint Mobile? Because it literally is insane. My phone works exactly the same. I have to connect to Wi-Fi. I do it all the time. What? Oh, okay. So I get to save about, well, let's do the math there. I save $85 a month. So 85, okay, so say $1,000. I save $1,000 a year just because I have to go into the gym and type and click connect to Wi-Fi. Yeah, that's worth $1,000 a year. Long time no see, Drake. Yeah, and that's why I bought the Google Pixel. I looked at the Apple phone. I saw no innovation. I saw no increase in the value of the product. I really didn't. What? It's got a camera? Okay, my camera works great on my iPhone 12 that I had. Cool. That thing broke. So why am I going to pay? And that's the thing too. Mint Mobile also offered me to get a $600 or $700 Google Pixel, the newest one, for $400 if I switched. So I paid $500 for an entire year for a new cell phone, a new smartphone, and all of my data, my service. That's all I paid. Yeah, Tim can't cook. He's in the wrong scenario, man. And the thing is, they're going to focus on AI and their little glasses and things like that. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, reality is so much better. You can make your reality so much better. All these people are distracted by fake reality, And I'm encouraging you to get out there and touch grass, right, JS? Tesla's dropping hard. So that's what can happen outside those weekly expected moves. Ooh. Ooh, that is pretty bad. You have a gap fill right below you. You want to know what my dad does? You guys want to know what my dad does with his phone? So my dad gets a new phone every 2 years. Do you know what he does? He switches his service every 2 years, so they give him a free phone every 2 years. Like you can make moves. There's moves in the system. Why do you think Biden, Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, Trump, why do you think all of these big people, Bill Gates, all these people, why do you think they pay low taxes? Because there's a way to do it. And so as of right now, that's the type of style that I'm going with. I'm like, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm not going to be convinced and say, oh yeah, you want me to go drink every single night? Cool. That's very bad for my health and very bad for my wallet. What AI exactly? The AI that they're telling you about. You know what I do? I buy well, we'll say it this way. My wife likes Modelo. So we buy a case of Modelo. Good for the booby milk. And that's all we do. But we still go out drinking like once every maybe 3 weeks. But what does the drinking look like now? It's a lot different. I'm not gonna. We usually go over to a friend's house or something like that. We have homes and things, right? They rent and things like that. We go over to their homes to have drinks. And if we do go out for lunch or something like that, Felipe, thank you so much, and I hope that information was helpful. Please keep asking questions, Felipe. If you have any questions, please ask them. I'm very open with it. I'm not going to sit here and hold my course above you and not tell you information. Like I said, that's not what this is about. But if you're serious about getting good at it, it is a very good tool. It's probably the cheapest course on the entire internet to learn this stuff, and people can attest it's very, very good. But at the same time, if you have questions, this community, we will try to answer those questions. Yeah, it looks more like this. If I go out for drinks, I'm only having 2. And if I go out for drinks, I'm doing it during the day, so I'm not encouraged to stay out late or anything like that. And a baby helps that too. Lucas, is Tesla looking at like 138? I would say we get a bounce soon with this gap fill. Right, this gap fill lines up with a lot of liquidity over in these areas. So I would assume we get some kind of bounce here. But as we are way down in negative territory, guys, you have to say Tesla's in a downtrend. So I drew this up, but just know that could be a reaction up to 180.92, and then that just drops right back off. SPY, let's go look at the SPY again. That thing got a bounce. This has not confirmed yet. Has not confirmed yet. Oh, it got a bounce, but that got given away. Uh-oh. Q's, did we make a divergence up here? We did. Okay, and Q's giving that away as well. IWM, how's that performing? IWM confirming the move first. Remember, those small caps can confirm those moves first. So, Bitcoin falling. How dramatically, though? It's Bitcoin. Mara. Ooh, God. Now, remember, we were talking about Mara yesterday. Literally yesterday, what were we talking about? 2-hour divergences. What do they like to do? They like to roll over daily MACDs. So let's look at the daily. Uh-oh, right by the center line. Mara might go bye-bye below the 200. Mara could, over the next couple, I would say, months, Mara could go down all the way to $7, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. Bitcoin, what is this doing? Well, it's in negative territory on the daily scale. If that thing curls over, you can test this low, go make a new one. Maybe we want to head towards the 200, which happens to be sitting right in our special zone. So Bitcoin could be going down towards 50K. JS Boyd, thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. Lucas, yeah, I'm glad that you, and I love your name, by the way, and you spell it just like mine too. My name is technically Lucas. But what do I want to pay attention to with Tesla? The fact that it's curling over on the daily MACD, we can see a lot lower prices. That's why I'm kind of talking about if we do see a bounce, that could be very, very brief. This is a very bearish signal if that confirms. You're already below the center line on the RSI. That momentum is telling you, hey, downside is there. If the MACD confirms that, we might be testing this lower, making a new one, maybe we do head all the way down towards 128, 127, right? So the reason we're looking at that level, we have a little box in here, right? We used it as support at the top of it. And if we zoom out even further, what do we see? Big liquidity right here. So that's why I'm paying attention to that zone. Bulls throw in the towel. Let's go look at the SPY. That thing rolling over and going negative as of right now. We just got to see if these things confirm, guys. Now, these things are confirming before CPI. If CPI has a good print, maybe that gives us some kind of bounce. So we'll pay attention to the signals going on. And I highly encourage you if you are trying to learn. I'm seeing a lot of people trickle in who are trying to learn. My phone contracts end right at Black Friday, so guaranteed to get a new plan at the best time. Lots of promos every single year. Gray matter, very, very good point. Very good point. But I would tell you this: you can save a lot of money by switching to Mint Mobile. I'm obsessed with it now. Now it's like I don't think I've never experienced service trouble either. Like I'm pretty sure they use T-Mobile. So I was paying for T-Mobile. I was paying $100 a month. Now I pay $15, which I already paid. $500 for the entire year, and I got a phone. It was a promo they did, so I actually pay like technically I got the phone for $400, so I technically paid $100 for like the entire year. SPY 2 hour looks ugly, but yeah. So if you guys want me to put my Mint Mobile link, I'll do it because I'm a big fan. Only bad part is I think they sold out to T-Mobile recently, but they're going to keep the $15 a month option. Yeah, and that's the only bad part is Ryan Reynolds did sell out a little bit to T-Mobile, I believe, which is funny because I just transferred over from there. But I literally did that a couple months ago. You guys know I accidentally got my phone run over by a car. Yeah, he sold part of it, but he is keeping the $15 a month option. And I think you get 5 gigs of data. And I would highly encourage you that if you're like, oh, I need more than 5 gigs for X and Y, Wi-Fi is everywhere. It takes you 7 seconds to say, hey, do you have your Wi-Fi password at a coffee shop? They say yes, you type it in, you're in. That's all I do. So the amount of gigs I use, even out of that 5 gigs every single month, is like 2. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it, Drake? But it ended up being a blessing. So actually, me running over my phone saved me, I think it was like $1,500 total. Or actually, no, it'd be $1,000 plus the like $1,100 phone. So technically minus the, actually, yeah, 1,000 plus the $1,100 phone. So if I got an iPhone, that would be 2,100. So $2,100 in a year. So technically, by running over my phone, I saved myself almost $2,000. Not necessarily on Discord. We give them out on Patreon, but it's very good to look at the. I mean, the Patreon's more so for the weekly ranges at this point, and we show some trade setups. So overall, we were talking about this on Patreon. We were talking about this level here and saying, hey, 5-minute divergence, pay attention to the 30. When that confirms, that's probably more important. Pay attention to a 2 hour, that's more important. But could a simple 5-minute divergence right here be the telling thing? It wasn't, but that's why the comment of look at the 30-minute or look at the 2 hour, that's really what we're paying attention to, because I'm not necessarily a 0 DTE guy. So I do post some setups, but your best bet is to show up to every single live video while we're talking. And eventually we're going to make these live videos more of a thing and do some kind of membership where it'll be, just because if we keep growing at the rate we're growing, it's going to be hard to keep up with chat. So I want the people who are really dedicated to the channel to be able to ask questions and look at setups and things like that. Your best bet, though, is to watch the live video because we talk about how things would set up in real time. You can go back and look at it again. If that stuff starts to prove itself, then you could say, okay, yeah, this is what we're talking about. Link, please. Yeah, the link's down in the description for the Patreon. I'm going to say hi to the girls for a sec. They're out here, so I'll be right back. Yo, I came back to read that real quick. JS, I'm down. Send me some toys, dude. I'll get a PO box or something like that. That'd be cool. All right, guys. Vote. I have to go look at a house in like an hour. Max, I can go another like 20 minutes. Who wants me to stick around for 20 more minutes? I really want to see if this confirms with you guys, but and also I'm looking at just renting as well. Looking at just renting because my wife, she found a great little place that's perfect for us, and it even has an area for my own office, and it's like cheap, and it's right by my brother, and I'm very excited about it. Yeah, I'll stick around for this 30-minute bar. How about that? I'll stick around for at least one more 30-minute bar. Stay, player! Yo, player's gotta play and shooter's gotta shoot, you know what I'm saying? Oh my god, that brings me back to like... Holy crap, that brings me back to 2011. Me and my buddies, we always like... I used to be just a party kid, and we used to always say, shooter's gotta shoot. My boy, he'd go up and hit on a chick, he'd get completely denied, and I'd just be like, man, shooter's gotta shoot though, you know what I'm saying? I use Metro PCS, pay $95 a month for unlimited hotspot and phone servers for the regular things, 2 phones, so I have a backup. Hey, yeah, that's good. And JS, we're more so when I talk about like Mint Mobile and things like that, it's for people who are really starting out and want to try to save up money to start trading or something like that. I would highly, highly encourage you. It really helps to have like $10,000. And I know that can seem like a big amount, but if you start to cut out things like your phone, look at that. I was able to save $1,000 in this just from doing that simple thing over the next year, not having a huge phone bill, right? So there's ways to make it happen. It's very, very difficult. The crowd says stay. I'll stay for this 30-minute bar. Let's see if this crosses over in the next 30 minutes. Now, I do want to just keep you aware. IWM already confirmed this on the last bar. IWM already confirmed it. So let's look if... Let's do this. We have some people in here. Tell me if you are someone who is kind of new to investing and trying to learn. Just say, I'm here to learn. You know, if you really, if like you mentioned, someone was mentioning they got beat up a little bit and trying to take plays and things like that. So they're trying to learn by watching my videos. I really, really love to hear that. That's the goal here. But if you are someone who is really trying to learn, please say hi in the chat real quick and just say, I'm here to learn. And we'll show you exactly how we do things today. Or exactly how I do things, not we. Yes, Spiky likes. That was the... Ah, crud. I dipped... God dang it. I did it again. I dipped my strings from my hoodie into my coffee. Hi! Hi, I'm not seeing a reason to sell my SPY puts. Just a casual Friday floating day. Float day, huh? Filling my brain. Here to learn. I'm swinging. I bought the class. Bought your class on February 29th. Been doing pretty good since. Congratulations. Well done, Jay Valentine. Well done. Appreciate it. You guys know I only root for your success. So let's talk about IWM for a second. So one of the things that we go over in the course, and it's going to be much more clear in the course, I'm just going to spitfire it for about 2 minutes here. Okay, so what are the things that we want to look for? Well, first of all, something that I have to pay attention to every single week is going to be my weekly expected move. And what do we know about IWM? IWM's weekly expected move. Since we're fully talking about this, I'm not going to hold back. I'm not going to be like other YouTubers and be like, you have to buy the course. I'm literally going to tell you what is going on here. You're live, you're showing up, you said you're dedicated to learning, and I want you to save money if you're just starting out, so that you can become a good trader first. If you can become a knowledgeable, good trader first with fake money, and then you have to use real money, but use small amounts because you have to deal with the emotional side of trading as well. Your emotions are going to be everywhere. Okay. So here's how we would set up looking for some kind of downside with IWM. Why am I talking about downside? Well, the first thing that I pay attention to is, where is my weekly expected move? Okay, my weekly expected move for IWM is 206.84. This is what we give away on Patreon. Now, very important to understand what this is, and we explain exactly what it is in the course, and we even give you a way to create your own range using Robinhood. That way you're not sitting there trying to figure out the calculation, what time to get the implied volatility. I've done it for a long time. If you would like to do it yourself, I had someone ask for the equation. You can literally go look up the equation yourself on the internet. There is a little bit more to it than just looking up the equation and plugging it in. I'm going to tell you that right now. But that took me a little bit of time to figure out. It took me like 6 months to really figure out. So what is the weekly expected move? Well, this is all that the options market priced in for upside for IWM. And I want you to notice where IWM is right now. It's up towards that move. So that would tell me the market makers, or anyone who is really in this move, this is where they most likely expect it to get to. And we get there, and therefore that is where selling can come in. If you get outside of that move, that is where selling can come in, because you have a 68% chance to land back in this zone by Friday close. Okay, so this is a weekly move. All right, so what is happening here? Now, if you're going to see something crazy happen, we'll just mention that real quick. Crazy things can happen outside of this. Why? Because if those sellers do not show up, that means those sellers might turn into buyers and you could see something crazy. So in a crash, if you're up here or something like that, and in a crash and you see this breakdown, a lot of the time you'll see that retest and then you'll see some kind of dramatic drop. We actually just saw that. We actually just saw that behavior in this move over here. Okay, it came outside of that weekly expected move. Right, it came outside of it, we retested it, and then we saw more selling pile on, okay? So that is what can happen, but just know that most of the time you gravitate to these levels, and then you see selling come in, and this is where I pay attention to reversals in trend, or some kind of curling over to the downside, or curling from the downside to the upside, okay? So I don't want to confuse too much. So weekly expected move, this is priced in from the options. This is not a magical line that I'm just coming up with, okay? Now, this here is where we want to pay attention to a lot of things. We want to understand how to use our indicators. If you go and you take a lot of courses, and I've taken courses, guys. I spent like somewhere between $2,000 and $4,000 on courses throughout my whole career here. And what have I done? I've found the things that are very useful to me, and I have put all of those things in my course. So I believe that if you look up what MACD is, you're going to get a definition. That's useless. Moving average, convergence, divergence. What does that give you? Does that give you any kind of edge? No, it doesn't. Understanding what up here means, understanding what this here means. And in my course, I encourage you to do this. Go like this. Put 0. Boom. Now you have a line there. Now you definitively know something. Well, what do I know? This is a positive trend. This is a negative trend. My other indicator, this is a positive trend. This is a negative trend. This is overbought. This is oversold. Now you actually know things about these indicators. Now that is a very basic understanding. We go way more in depth, but what can we take away from that? Well, as of right now, we have something called divergence. We have a whole section on divergence. It is one of the most important things that I cover, in my opinion, because this is how you see weakness in momentum. Right now, what are we seeing? We are seeing an upward move in price action for IWM, right? We see this high here. It goes to a new closing high, right? There's a closing, right? The thickness of the bar right there. So we know that because this is down, they are diverging, right? So that means that this is going up, while this is your momentum indicator is saying, hey, be careful, there's a little bit of momentum dying out here. So what do we do from there? We say there is potential for a downturn. Now, it depends on how you are using this information. If you were bullish over here, this would tell you this is a signal that says I should not take anything long at this area for IWM. Even if it sees some kind of bounce, if you are a good trader and you see this bounce like this, there's no reason to take a positive trade here. Why? Because divergence leads to a lot of reversal in trends. And we talk about significance of divergence. And in the chat, some people who took the course would probably say, this is very significant. Why? It gives you a very high opportunity to go negative, good probability to go negative here, because we are very, very close to this white line, that center line, which means what? We could go into a negative trend. Okay, we could go into a negative trend. So right now, and another section of the course is reasons to take a trade. Okay, we are up towards the weekly expected move. I have divergence. That divergence is also significant. Okay, so I have 3 things right there. Now, if this would cross that center line, I have another reason. But as of right now, you could front run and things like that, keep a stop in place. We do all that stuff. But what's another reason that I could come up with for downside here? Does anyone else have another reason that I could see some kind of pullback or trend reversal from IWM? Chat, give some intake here. Right? We're trying to help some people learn right now. What would I do? What is very interesting about where we are at in price right now? Yeah, my emotions got to me yesterday, JS. Remember, I was like, God, and then I just went, what am I doing? Previous highs. Perfect. Okay, previous highs. What does this mean? This right here is resistance, not only because we're by that weekly expected move, but because at this price point, we saw resistance, we saw resistance, we saw resistance. And if you wanted to create a little zone in here, we saw a lot of things happening here. We saw support, but over here, we saw a lot of resistance at the level that we're pretty much at right now. We saw resistance right above it. This is where I would draw a zone. And I would say this zone right here is very, very important. If we bust out of that zone, it's bullish. If we break down from that zone, it is bearish. As of right now, you went up to that zone and created a double top. So we can also look at patterns and things like that as well. This is a double top. You notice how right away I'm able to make, this is a very good play because I'm able to make a ton of reasons for this to go down. Okay, if I sit there and try to convince myself, that's bad. You want to have key things you are looking for: support and resistance, patterns, divergence, weekly expected moves. You want solid things to look for, and then you want to make sure those things are confirming. So we're going to talk about that side of things right now because we know there's support down here. We have to make sure things are confirming. Is this move confirmed right now? Yes, it is. The divergence has confirmed. So downside has confirmed, which means we have the higher probability actually to reverse the trend here. Now we are still positive. But the reason I can say we have a high probability now is because the RSI is below the center line down here. Okay, so do you see my thinking? And please let me know if you're new here and you're trying to learn. Please let me know if this is okay, if you guys are seeing this as valuable. Because I want to make sure how I'm talking you're really understanding at this point. So we came up with a bunch of reasons. Double top by the weekly range. Divergence is there, very significant, about to cross the center line. RSI already did, which is the leading indicator, right? MACD has to catch up. So we have a high potential to go into a negative trend. Okay, so let's say I take this play. Actually, let's do this first. Now, what's another thing I can look at? What's another thing I can look at for IWM? What's the market doing? Oh, well, the market has a 68% chance to drop. IWM already made that move, and it also has a significant divergence as well. So I can use other stocks to tell me what's going on. Well, maybe if I'm trading, if I see the SPY making a downward move and I want to see if IWM is going to go down, maybe I want to pay attention to other stocks. Maybe I want to pay attention to Amazon. What did Amazon have? Significant divergence that led to negative territory. It's about to get there right now. Okay, NVIDIA gave up this move in negative territory. If that rolls over, that'd be bad, okay? AMD made that big move, but it's in negative territory. Meta is way overextended to the upside outside of its weekly and has a bunch of divergences up here. So do you see how I can use other stocks as well to kind of think to myself and say, okay, this is starting to add up to something bad. This is starting to add up to some selling that could come in, and IWM is giving me that confirmation on the previous bar. This doesn't mean that you're not going to see bounces. So from this area, if I would take a play here, the immediate thing that I need to do is see how I could be ruined, see how the market could trick me and take away all my money. Okay? So what do I want to do? I want to look at a 15-minute. This thing is not fully going negative, right? This is not convincingly negative on a shorter time frame. So what do I have to pay attention to? If the 15-minute at any time crosses up, I'm going to take a loss, but that loss will be very risk managed. I'm being risk managed. And therefore, if I'm worried because we are in bullish context, I will take a further out date. That way, if that type of move happens, just that little move right there, I don't lose 60%, 70%. I only lose 10%, 15%, 20%. And I know that because this is just a single divergence, I'm not going to use all of my 10 grand that I have dedicated to options. I'm maybe going to use $1,000, right, of my total. If I have 10 grand in a portfolio, we talk about this as well, I'm only going to use 10% of that for options because you can make plenty of money with options. You do not need to risk all of that money you worked hard for. Okay, so $1,000 is plenty to make money in this market. And what would I do? I would use 20, maybe 20% of that to take a play. All right, I know it seems small, but here's the thing. That 30-minute just crossed down, okay? You're catching a time where the momentum is weak and you could see a big move down. So what would that make me if the IWM over the next 2 days, let's say 2 days, you have 2 weeks out, 2 days drops down to, let's do something simple like $201 from here. If I took the position right now, how much money do you think I would make if I had a 2-week out position and I took that, say, 10 to 20% away from the price right now? Let's say I took it at, oh, not 10 to 20%, 10% max probably. But let's say I took the 201 short, okay? 201 short. How much do you think this would be worth if it made that move in the next 2 days? How much do you think that would be worth? That would be worth almost double if it made that move in 2 days. So if the move happens quickly, you can make very quick money and you want to take profit. And now something you can do the next week. We're on a Friday. So if I see this drop off and I know the weekly expected move is down here, I can literally watch this thing go down to this area and sell at 200 and make 150%. That's it. This is why you will hear me saying, oh, that's why, okay, so someone asked me about this, the NVIDIA play. They're like, how did you make 300%? That big move NVIDIA made with the Fed, the FOMC or whatever it was, the Fed, what is it? Whenever Jerome Powell talked last, that move that happened in that 30-minute window was a move that would take 2 days to perform. So even though I had 2 weeks out, I was able to make 300% in 30 minutes. That's why you guys heard me getting quiet and like, you don't. I was like, you don't. I've never seen that. I really haven't because it happened so quickly. Same with that extreme selling that came in a few weeks prior. Okay, so this right here will make you plenty of money. This right here, you just turned $200 into $400 in 2 days. You just made $100 a day. $100 a day equals $36,000 a year, pretty much. Is this stuff helpful? Are you guys learning? Okay, so I can play down to the weekly expected move, but I want you to know something very important about taking profit and when you are in the money, when your option is green. Do you have that money yet? This is something very key about the emotional side of the market and how you can save yourself a lot of turmoil. The trades will always be there. Do you own that money yet? If you are still holding your option and you are up 100%. No. Good job, chat. Yes. Good job, chat. Nice. Awesome. Now, this means if I want to make 100% here, what is the, I would say, almost like opportunity cost? Do I take the 100% gain or risk losing that gain with some kind of bounce or making an extremely larger amount? Because if this would scale up and go quickly to the downside, you will make more money. But if this would just bounce, you might be back to breaking even. Okay? So it's very important to understand you do not make money, and this will save your emotional side a lot. You do not make money in this market, in any trade, in anything, in any investing until you hit the sell button. Only if you take a loan out on it. Lately, I just leave a single contract if applicable for a runner. And you said that earlier, Corey. I saw you saying that. So this just tells me, do you know what I do a lot of the time? I take about 90% of my contracts. So if I have 10 contracts, I'm actually, yeah, you're pretty spot on. Usually it'll be something like this. Okay, and sometimes I do it differently. It just depends on what the trade looks like, if a 2 hour is rolling over and that kind of thing, and I can hold it longer. If we're approaching a weekly expected move, I'm usually 100% out of the trade. Usually, if we are approaching a weekly expected move, I'm out of the trade. That's why you saw me yesterday when I was very tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep. Baby girl kept me awake. I only got 3 hours of sleep. That's why you saw me hit that aha moment of the SPY is at its weekly expected move. There is no reason for me as a good trader to take upside. I know we got upside, but there is no reason for me to take that. If anything, that would convince me that I am doing things correctly, and then I'm going to make that mistake when that setup happens again, and it's not going to go up. Okay? So overall, when those weekly expected moves get hit, awesome. Take profit. Why? We are very likely to see a bounce from here. If I see a bounce on the 30-minute, the coolest part about this, once you are in a negative trend and you see a bounce, what do? You wait for it to get to that center line. You treat it like a swing trader. You get to that center line. If that crosses back down on this MACD, boom, another play set up right there. And usually the second move can be a little bit smaller because we create 30-minute divergences. So what do? Usually I'll take anywhere from 50% to 100% on the second move. So the first move, usually I'm making anywhere from 50% to 200% most of the time. Most of the time, it's usually about 100% on that move. Now, the second move, usually I'm taking that a little bit quicker because what am I going to do? I see this roll over. I take a position. It hits that weekly expected move. What if this is a double bottom? What if that's a double bottom? Then I'm screwed. I cannot make any more money. Okay, so now I know that was pretty brief. I tried to do it for as long as I could and really give some good information there, and I hope you are dedicated to learning. Dedicate yourself to learning, paper trade first, or just write down your trades when you would buy. Okay, I would buy at this price point. What does that stock look like 2 days later? Because I saw 30-minute divergence. If I'm playing 2 hour divergence, what does that stock look like a week later? Okay, if I'm playing daily divergence, what does that stock look like 2 weeks later? That's how I would do things. We also give things in the course like golden setup. We're not going to go over that today, but the golden setup is one of the best trades you can ever make, and I'm going to show you one of them. I'm not going to fully show it to you because I got to go, but I'm going to show you one of them. Actually, you almost had it right here. You almost had that right here. But this is the last time that I saw the perfect. Remember when I told you that I say things can go up, things can go down? Do you know what we were saying about Apple right here? If you go back, I want you to go back and look at maybe one of these videos. What are we saying here? This is where Apple bottoms. Now you'll hear me talk about I want structure on the way up. I don't want some kind of massive squeeze. I want a little squeeze and then I want structure, right? I want structure to head higher. But that's why I'm really worried about where we're at with price with the SPY. Now this is a golden setup. Why? Let's look down here on the MACD. You have a triple divergence. Triple divergence on the MACD. What else did you have? Well, you had a 2 hour divergence. I believe you had a 2 hour divergence here. Actually, I think you had a 2 hour divergence here. I think you had a 2 hour divergence here, and you might not have had 2 hour divergence here. I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure the 2 hour divergence was here because I talk about it in the course. So this is the golden setup here. So this tells you I can hold this for a long time. I'm going to take a month out option, and I'm going to let that sucker ride. I'm going to let that sucker just ride. Why? Because I have a perfect setup. What do? I can even wait for confirmation and take it at this bar, but what do? I look at 2 hours and 30 minutes to get a tighter position. I probably got in right about here at 170, and if I let that ride, let's say for a full month, and I probably would sell up in these areas. If I just let that ride for a full month, that just went up 12% in 3 weeks. My option will be worth an insane amount. Okay, that's enough learning for today. We're going to do a full breakdown, Camille, okay? I know that I was mainly doing that for the new people trying to learn. You guys are paying attention to your stocks. You guys are good at this stuff now. But let's go through some of these stocks and see why we're a little bit worried. So we just went over how important the center line is, and we talk even more about that in the course. If you want even more clarification of these type of things, you can go into the link in the description and get that course. Very, very good. And then you can practice for a couple of months, save money, and then start your trading. Try to get in the emotional side of things by just trying to play with $500 or something like that, and only using $100 as the play and being very quick with taking profit. That's how you practice. Okay, so why am I a little bit worried here? Well, we have potential here for a couple things. Well, this is almost a double top, and I do have significance down here. Now, it's not necessarily a divergence just yet. We could head a little bit higher. That would create that divergence. We could come test these highs. That would create the divergence. But as of right now, we're almost there for double top. So what could I see here? Well, lower high. I could see lower high. Why? Because we're still very close to rolling over. And if we roll over here, that probably is going to get ugly on the daily scale. Not saying that has to happen. I have to wait for these things to confirm. Okay, so 30-minute, this is what we're talking about right now. 30-minute, we have the divergence. It looks like it's about to confirm. So let's see if that does confirm. We want to make sure things are confirming, especially if you're front running. Then you want to really pay attention to a 15-minute, not curling up into positive territory, because that's how you can get screwed. If you front run it, you really want to pay attention to that. Don't feel safe in any kind of play is pretty much how it is, especially with options. Options move very quickly. Now, 30-minute, I have this steep divergence, very significant. I have that pretty steep divergence even on the RSI, right? Pretty steep divergence up here. So a little bit less, but the MACD very significant. So the potential to reverse the trend here is very high. What does that like to do? It likes to roll over the 2-hour. What does the 2-hour look like? Ooh, not so good. So we could be seeing a more dramatic pullback here. So what do I want to pay attention to? Well, if these things are confirming first, and then I always want to pay attention to how the market can trick me and stuff like that. Right now, people are trapped at these levels, and I bet money they don't get bailed out, probably until they think like everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and then we see a bounce, right? So the Qs, what are we doing? The same thing. So we're doing our breakdown right now, by the way. And the 30-minute, what's happening? Well, it tried to confirm this. Actually, you didn't really have divergence when this confirmed downside. Okay, you didn't really have divergence when this confirmed downside right here. So you notice that the price never went above this level. Okay, so that tells me, what do I have now? Now I have the divergence. Now I have that divergence. And it's very, very significant here for the Qs. Very close to the center line. This could roll over and go negative. It could roll over the 2-hour. So I want to see if the 2-hour looks a certain way. 2 hours already rolled over, and that thing's rejecting, right? So this could roll over here. Very, very good sign that we're going to see weakness going forward. If we see pops, that's what I pay attention to. I pay attention to, how could I get screwed? If the 15-minute curls up into positive territory, that's when I know, hey, be careful. Maybe just take a slight loss and then get back in later. Or if you're taking a month out, you can scale in. We can scale into positions like this. So that's what I'd pay attention to for the Qs. 30-minute divergence in 2 hours rolling over and some kind of lower high on the daily scale. Apple, what do we pay attention to? The 30-minute here as well. You guys know I like my 30-minute charts. What does this look like? Well, it looks like lower high, and weirdly enough, this looks a lot like Tesla. I'm going to show you Tesla next. It looks a lot like Tesla, and what's Tesla doing? Dropping dramatically. Why? It was able to get into negative territory. This is really all I want to pay attention to for Apple at the moment, seeing that go negative, and then I want to see if we get some buying in this zone. Very important buy zone. When we break through a sell zone, well, we gap above it, first of all, so we don't allow those sellers to step in. And then we go down towards it. A lot of the time, though, you will reach into it, find those buyers, and then go up to a higher level. So sell zone above you as well, up towards that 188 level. Now, I want to show you how that looks right now. Keep that in your brain. Look how that looks. Now look at Tesla. Okay, Tesla looking like this right now. Looks like it could get some kind of bounce from this level. Remember, gap fill, we just said looks like Tesla could get some kind of bounce, but that might be short-lived. The daily looks like it wants to roll over, but as of right now, what's happening? Okay, this is kind of what Apple looks like at this point, that trickling up, right? Trickling up, no real strong bar, strong bar, strong bar, just trickling up with like some random bars that always have selling in them. So this trickled up. Eventually, when that actually went negative, we tried to hold up at the lows. When that dropped, boom, it gaps, and we just keep going. Okay, so this here, in negative territory. This is kind of what Apple looks like to me. Now, Apple doesn't have to do this, by the way. Don't think because Tesla looks like this, Apple has to do this. I would really pay attention to that. But remember, if this 30-minute goes positive, okay, we can see positivity. But if that rolls over to negative territory at any time, next downward move's coming, and the daily is something you want to pay attention to here. Yes, we can hold up right here. We're pretty much getting a bounce right when someone asked about it, right where we talked about. But as of right now, you have a gap below you. Look at that daily MACD, really close to the center line. If that crosses over, what do? You test the low, you go make a new one. One of those two things usually happens. Now we do have a gap fill. We can pay attention to a higher low, but we'd be paying attention to a 2-hour, seeing if that can roll back up into positive territory. Amazon, this is ugly, and you know this is ugly. Why? Because of everything we just broke down as far as how to take a trade, right, with IWM. This is ugly. Divergence here, double top, triple divergence across the way here, triple divergence down here on the MACD, triple divergence here on the RSI at the same time. This is very, very ugly because this didn't even get overbought. So if we do see a reaction, that'd be okay. We just want to wait for that to actually confirm, and then we know, hey, yeah, we're most likely going to go test 166.12 again for Amazon. Now, what did we pay attention to recently? 30-minute, not the best divergences, but a pretty steep one down here. Steep triple divergence on the MACD. So how could you get screwed out of this trade? Well, the 30-minute, 15-minute can start to roll up and go positive. So you want to see right now, if this rolls up and goes positive, well, then this might be a chance to be like, okay, this isn't the moment. This isn't the moment, because if this can actually fully go positive, very important to fully go positive, not just cross up and fade, right? We need to go positive. That would mean, hey, I can test this high, go make a new one. You don't want to see trickling up and then going positive like this. You really want to see strength to go positive and then see that divergence come in. But NVIDIA, so Amazon not looking the best. You can see that on the daily scale. NVIDIA, what is it doing? Well, the 15-minute did go positive. You see that positivity come in. What's it doing now? It's deciding if it wants to roll down or roll back up. So NVIDIA a little bit different, right? 30 minutes still negative at this point. This is that beat down. This could be a retest. We could go higher. I would really be looking at the next time frame that makes it very obvious. Doesn't the hourly look more obvious than the 30-minute right now? If this confirms up, where is it? Positive territory. So a strong bar from here, we test the high, we make a new high. But there's a few problems here, which is we're really starting to fade some moves here. Okay, if this daily rolls over into negative territory, what are we going to do? Well, if we don't see those shorter time frames give us some kind of higher low in this area, well, then that's going to probably test this low or go make a new one before earnings. Now, earnings, remember, this is an important lesson too. That's a 50-50 flip. I highly encourage you to not play around earnings. Some people had to learn that the hard way in the past week with Palantir. AMD, this one as well, still in negative territory on the daily. Now, you did have divergence here. That's something we pointed out. You had 2-hour divergence here. That's something we pointed out. I think you had 30-minute divergence as well. So this was going to be a good move. What are we noticing right now? 2-hour trying to curl down into negative territory as of right now. So what does that mean? Well, if we don't hold up at this zone, if that 30-minute or hourly is not able to curl up, what are we going to see? Test the closing lows, go make a new one. And now we're going to go into Meta. Perfect timing, JS, or Camille. Sorry about that. But you see the 2-hour wanting to curl over here, and I really want a retest of 453. Now, this is a dramatic move higher. You're a little bit higher up into positive territory, so we can see that base out with some kind of higher low. Hold on one sec. Sorry, little man was barking. So why would the 2-hour roll over here? Okay, well, 30-minute divergence across the whole way up here. We're starting to taper off. So this looks like we are going to head lower with something a little bit dramatic, as we are going negative as of right now. And that's not looking the best. The 2-hour is going to roll over. That could get a little dramatic. So if that 2-hour goes fully negative, watch out. But if that wants to, the 30-minute can go like this, really start to build back. Maybe we see a little divergence or something like that. We do something like this, and then we see a divergence. That's what I would pay attention to for Meta going forward. Mainly the 2-hour curling back up into positive territory, though. That's what I would look for, and I would look for any kind of 30-minute structure, any kind of 30-minute divergence. Pay attention to my weekly expected moves as well. Microsoft, this is one that I got out of because I was like, I'm being a good trader. This play is most likely not going to go in my favor. Right now, what do we see? Steep divergence, double top, if that confirms now. Now, this could be a big cup, a handle, and this could go higher. That's perfectly fine. I'm in positive territory. I understand. I'm not taking this play, right? I'm not taking this play here. I think Meta is a much better downside play. I think IWM is a much clearer downside play. Don't get stuck on one stock or something like that. It can really help you to look at multiple stocks, notice that other stocks have weakness. So this is a little less likely to play out here because of all the weakness we're seeing across the board. Now, it can do something like this. Watch out for any kind of trap. We could create a divergence on the 30-minute for Microsoft at any moment here. Maybe a clearer upward move would be the hourly crossing up. Okay, now as of right now, we have to see that strength come in. Watch out for hourly divergence there. Google, and we're going to talk about Netflix as well. I want to short you. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so what's happening here? Google beating down looks kind of flaggy, actually. This doesn't look like sell, sideways sell, right? This looks flaggy, doesn't it? Doesn't that look controlled? So I want to pay attention if there's going to be another upward move here, because this would be the cup and handle scenario. This is what a good cup and handle will look like on the as far as the hourly scale goes. What do? We build up. Okay, boom. Now we have a cup kind of formed here at a point that's pretty important. All right, now if we get a handle, we can head higher. What do you need to see? This hourly has to go positive for that positivity to come in. If that positivity comes in and I want to take a play on it, that's perfectly fine. I'll have a weekly range. If you need those, they're part of a Patreon. We give it out for Google. And so if that hourly confirms, I can say, okay, I'm going to take a play up into that weekly expected move. That's all that is priced in. So therefore, I should not be thinking, oh, this stock has to go higher, right? That's where it's expected to go. So you could expect to take profit there. Netflix, this one I just told you guys, looks like a double top. This looks like a double top at this level. We had divergence here. You even got an extra pop. You probably have a good 15-minute right by the center line, able to roll negative as of right now. So what does this mean? Well, we're rolling negative, so we're going to test this low. If we take that out, we could start a dramatic negative trend here, right? This can start to escalate. It looked like a double top on the 30-minute. From here, you see steep divergence, right? We see on the MACD down here, steep divergence. We're giving a good breakdown today, so I encourage you to like the video. Thank you guys so much for being here, liking the video, and a couple donations. Really appreciate it. So what does this look like? Very steep divergence, able to go negative. So right now, this stock is telling me do not take upside. This stock is telling me do not take upside until this 15-minute goes positive. Now, what could we see from this level? I always have to be thinking. Thinking critically is very important. Well, we have a left on the 15-minute. We have a head. What if we go make a right shoulder? So I want to pay attention. If this rolls up, yeah, we can see another positive move. But if that's brief, you're going to want to be quick with it. You're going to want to get out of those calls, right? Because this is not something you want to mess around with, especially at these elevated levels when this could all be ripped away. I hope that was helpful, Camille. Now, going forward, we just want to pay attention. Volatility has not really come back in. So what does this look like on the 15-minute? Don't usually look at a 15-minute for the VIX too often, but what does that look like? It could roll down, which means more squeezing can happen. More people can get bullish. Remember, this is fear being sucked out of the market, but I want to point out the 2-hour to you and just realize this thing is slowly going up over time, slowly going up over time. And what's that doing? It's starting to get closer and closer to positive territory. So that means volatility can scale up. Guess what? We were leaning towards, hey, somewhere around that 13 level is where we have to pay attention. If we're going to see more bullishness, 12-12. 12-12 is where we got to pay attention because that's going to be a very important level. 12-12 is proven to have some big spikes in volatility. So we'll have to see how long we remain there. But as of right now, it looks like we might be topping out right now. Now, next week, we could have a whole different thing going on. So make sure to subscribe so that you can watch our weekend video, which on Saturday, we go over macro style stuff a little bit more. And we talk sometimes about some fundamental things that are going on or just something I want to talk about and go through charts on the macro scale. And then on Sunday, we actually give the weekly expected moves and things like that for SPY and the Qs. Now, one thing we have to pay attention to, I just wanted to show you guys how there's a huge difference between the SPY and TLT. Huge difference between SPY. SPY is going like this, TLT is going like this. Now, if you don't consider TLT smart money, well, let me give you the smart money. HYG, what's that doing? Well, that's breaking down dramatically and about to maybe curl over on the daily into negative territory. So what would this tell us? Smart money's not in this move anymore. Smart money does not believe the SPY should be up here. Smart money thinks it should be down in this area. So I'd really pay attention to this going forward. The dollar, we can go over the dollar real quick as well. That thing is seeing a bounce. If you're looking at anything that trades more time than the regular market, right? Regular trading hours. I encourage you not to really look at 30 minutes or anything, more 2 hours and 4 hours. What's happening on the 2 hour for the dollar right now? Well, it's starting to turn back up. I know we're seeing a red bar as of right now, but if that thing crosses up and goes positive, we can get back above 105.65 and we could maybe compete with this level up here. And maybe we do something like this. All right, I'm going to show you guys my idea. If we see that selling, dramatic selling come in, dollar pushes up to this level, we see some kind of bounce again, and boom, we got ourselves a head and shoulders too. We see the dollar explode higher. Okay, now we still want to pay attention to these signals all the time. Remember, things are always changing. Do not be frustrated with YouTubers who are telling you both sides of the story. They're actually doing you a favor. Just being genuinely serious here. If a YouTuber is giving you both sides, they're doing you a favor. Even if they're bullish in one scenario and they're in, like me, when I'm bullish, I still tell you how the trade can go wrong, how the stock could go down, because it's very important to be open to that. Being a flip-flopper is good while being a trader, not good while being a politician, right? So we want to pay attention to how we can get screwed out of trades, and that will really help you out as a trader. I hope you guys really enjoyed today's live stream. I had a lot of fun. Thank you guys who have donated today and all week, really. Like, people really giving back to the community, trying to get me to buy a new mouse. Everyone's like, you're never going to buy a new mouse. I'm like, fuck, God dang it, now I got to buy a new mouse. But other than that, one thing I would say going forward is we have to pay attention to these big swings. We are still in a short squeeze environment. We are still in an environment where people will buy these dips. As of right now, we're finally seeing some weakness as we hit that monthly expected move. So 68% chance that we land back in this area. Okay, so just be cautious with that going forward. But I really do have to go. I tried to do it as long as possible. I know I said 30 more minutes. I ended up going 40 more minutes. So hopefully you guys really appreciate the effort I was putting in today. I wanted to give you guys a great stream, and look at that. Right as we are coming off, this is starting to confirm some downside. Make sure you still have 18 minutes left in this bar. Make sure you are paying attention to what's going on throughout this. Oh, and real quick question before anyone hops off. Does anyone use Mumu? Bro, you have a flip phone. Okay, the Mumu keeps emailing me trying to get me to like use their platform and trying to get me to like be a sponsor for them. But I know nothing about them, and I don't really, I literally delete everyone that tries to make me a sponsor, but I just noticed it was Mumu, and I think someone mentioned that. Thinkorswim is very good. I've been looking into Thinkorswim, and I'm about to flip over to that. I think, who is it, Felipe? Felipe just asked for a digital broker. A lot of people recommend Thinkorswim. I'm not, like I said, I'm not someone who wants a bunch of sponsors or anything. I'll probably just delete the email, but I just wanted to see if anyone had any information on it. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining today. You guys know I always just want you to be successful. That's why I literally give away so much information. I'm really just wanting you guys to learn and move forward and progress. I know it's a difficult time for a lot of people, and truly, trading is almost something you, at least investing is something you almost have to do these days, which is very scary. I like their UI a lot. They give me 5.1% on cash. I mean, I'll look into it. I don't like having sponsors. I always said that ever since I started. You know, people were like, "You're good. You're going to get a bunch of sponsors." I'm like, I've literally deleted every sponsor email. I just noticed Mumu emailed me today, and some of you guys mentioned that you use the platform. All right, guys, but thank you so much for joining today. I hope that everything goes well for you guys. I think if we're trading like water and really just always learning from our mistakes, we're going to do very well in any kind of market. So hopefully you guys really appreciate the effort I put in today. I appreciate you guys being here, giving some money, donating some money to the channel. I really appreciate that. Always liking, subscribing, taking the course, joining Patreon. You guys are fantastic. I promise you, as things chill out with, you can hear baby girl crying a little bit in the background over the last couple minutes here. As things chill out, I will hopefully be adding more and more to the community and adding those, definitely trying to do those Patreon videos every single week. I really want to do a Patreon video where I'm breaking down stocks with those weekly moving, with those expected moves up on the charts at least every single Tuesday or Wednesday, because those are when looking at those weekly expected moves can be very, very useful. So thank you guys for joining. I'll leave you guys on the spy for a little bit while I change clothes, while I go see a house and a rental. So I will talk to you guys later. Wish you guys nothing but luck with the rest of your day, and I hope you have a great weekend. Let's not do anything crazy today and ruin our weekend, okay? Let's not try to ruin our weekend or something like that. Let's just make sure to have a good weekend and be ready to go into the new week fresh and reloaded and ready to go. If we're going to take a play over the weekend, just make sure you're monitoring that throughout the day and paying attention to how you can get screwed out of a trade. Thank you guys for joining. Hope you guys have a great day. Peace out. Later. We're done. Bye. Bye, Slot Machine. Bye, Laws. Bye, John. Bye, DD. Bye, JS. Bye, Drake. Bye, Parth. Bye, Prowl. Bye, Fardis. Vishal. Darwin. Thank you guys for joining. I'll see you later. Peace.